Send that data. Send that data. Oh. I guess we're live again. It's always nice to be live, right? It's always nice to be alive. And speaking of, we're going live every single day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications because we're trying to make your life amazing. Everyone's life amazing. All right, let's see what our buddy Donald J. Trump is talking about. Might as well.
I said, so what seems, there's so much money coming in, and there must be some kind of an accounting mistake, because we have hundreds of billions of dollars more money than we thought. I said, do me a favor, go check call me back, you have to call me back, check the tariff column. Calls me back 2 hours later, says, you're right, we took in 88 billion in tariffs. They have so much money coming in, but more important than the money coming in, we have companies coming in, factories coming in, auto plants being built, AI is being built here instead of being built all over Europe and Asia. We have all of it. We have over $15 trillion, just about, Scott. I think we're right about that number. We went to Saudi Arabia, we went to Qatar, we went to UAE, very smart people, very smart leaders, great leaders, and we took in $5.1 trillion just there.
Amazing.
Without the tariffs. I mean, they also liked a thing called November 5th, November 6th, and November 7th. That was a very good little period of time. It's called the presidential election. You know, you used to have one-day election. Now you have it go over it. But even if you just took that little period, because it was pretty obvious it was going to be a landslide. But and they like that, but they love the tariffs. I had Texas Instruments come in the other day, big company, and he said, we're putting in $60 billion into new plants and new equipment, new everything. Sir, you're going to keep the tariffs, aren't you? Because if I ever took the tariffs off, and we are going to absolutely keep it. And they're worried that somebody that, like this communist from New York, someday gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York. But the rest of the country is revolting against it. But if somebody got elected, they're afraid that if this was taken off, well, we're going to guarantee it's never going to be taken off. And again, we're taking in think of this, hundreds of billions of dollars. And they were all confused because they've never seen this before. You know, it's always the other way. We don't have enough money. So much money is coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen. But most importantly, we have factories being built, car plants being built, companies moving to our country like never before. If you look at 15 trillion, and that's only in a few months. You know, I haven't been here that long. Presidents, like the last one, was a disaster. He's the worst president in the history of our country, by the way. What he did on our border can never, ever be forgotten. To me, that's the worst of all the things. And he's done some terrible things, grossly incompetent. Nobody knew it was him, because I don't think it was him. I think it was whoever was controlling the auto pen. But our country is doing great. And those leaders and other leaders, I just left, as you know, a large group of the most highly respected people. And that includes big countries. When you look at Germany and France and Spain, although Spain didn't come through, but they will. By the way, guaranteed they will. That was the only country that sort of tried to hold back on putting up the money. But just so you know, they said, it's unbelievable what's happened to the USA. You were a dead country. We didn't respect the country, the leader. You were dead as a doornail. One said to me, you went from being a dead country, you are right now the hottest country anywhere in the world. The whole world is talking about the USA, and everybody wants a part of it, and they're pouring into our country, and you're going to see those numbers. Thank you for that question. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question about trade. Secretary Bessent has said that he hopes tariff deals with major partners will be done by Labor Day. So if some deals are not done by your July 9th deadline, will some countries' tariffs go back up, or will they stay where they are now?
Well, there's some countries that are used to ripping us off, to be honest with you. And I don't want to name them, but you sort of can name them. And they're so used to just, getting...
He does not want to name those countries. Thank you for joining in on the chat. Pig Homestead. Big what? What are you talking about, big what? Trying to understand. Meili de la Cadena. Karma. Karma. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Australia D says he's so brain dead.
Taking it billions and billions of, look, we had a trade deficit of more than $1 trillion. Think of $1 trillion, a trade deficit. That's because nobody cared. We cared a lot when, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff. We had the greatest economy in history up until now. I think we're going to blow it away. But during my time, and especially prior to COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. I think we're going to blow it away now based on the kind of numbers that we're seeing. But some countries are very angry because they've been ripping us off for years. They've been making billions and billions of dollars. There was nobody to negotiate with. They could do whatever they want. They charged us tariffs, by the way, at numbers that we've never seen before. And we ended up losing much more than $1 trillion a year. $1 trillion a year on trade. And now they're being met with a force that's far greater than them, and they don't like it. So they're upset because instead of making, $5 billion, they're going to break even. Or they'll make a little bit. I want to be nice. They'll make a little bit. Or we'll make a little bit. It's a big difference. Yeah, please go.
Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026, trying to bring you the truth and trying to find understanding in this world and hopefully find peace and happiness. Wonder Bucket says, as a Canadian, I'd be fine if Trump annexed us and renamed us Hat of America. Our prime minister looks like a reluctant butler. Oh my gosh. Paul Salsa at 4352 says Islam equals terrorist. Hello. Speaking of, did you see this video? Since you brought it up, I might as well show you this. This is a wild one. Check this out. So allegedly, some dude just runs into a park and starts stabbing white or Caucasian children, rather. He's a Muslim refugee. This dude running away. Dude, don't run away. Go get that guy, man. Stop him. Disable him. You see him run around with a knife, little bastard, dude. Now people don't know if this guy is actually a Muslim refugee or something else. Sad. Very sad. You want to open our borders and let our women and children be in danger? No, thank you. No, thank you.
Go ahead. Red dress.
On the 2020 election, is there any more information on the special prosecutor? So many Americans still have questions about the 2020 election. And speaking of rogue judges, would you consider appointing somebody at DOJ maybe to investigate the judges that allowed for the political persecution of you, your family, and your supporters during the Biden administration?
I love you. Who are you?
I'm Kara from Lindell TV.
Well, it's just a very nice question.
Jackins, W3J.
And it's not a
Who are you talking about? Let me know. Send me a link. Would love to see it.
setup. I have no idea who you are, but I appreciate that question. All I can say is we're not here for that. I hope so. I hope they're doing a thing because that election was rigged and stolen, and we can't allow that to happen. You know, a lot of people tell me, sir, you just won the greatest election in the history of our country. You won at numbers that won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything. Sir, go on with your life. And many people that say that, good people, friends of mine, then you have people that say that same thing, go on with your life, but you have to find out what happened because...
If that's accurate, Wonderbucket says it's the only way to paradise, according to his religion, by fighting unbelievers. That's very bad, if that's accurate. That is very, very bad. And that causes enemies from every side that is not your side.
You can't let that happen again. Look at what this lunatic did. Look at what he did. He opened our borders to people that were murderers, 11,888 to be exact, murderers. And we've captured many of those murderers, and we're bringing them back, or some of them are so dangerous that we don't even want to bring them back. We're afraid they're going to try and come back in. But he allowed people to come into this country, people from mental institutions. And
allegedly, from a quick Google search, it says Islam does not command the murder of all non-Muslims. Rather, it forbids killing innocent people, deems saving a life equivalent to saving humanity, and promotes peace, justice, and tolerance. So that dude was probably just deranged.
Insane asylums, that's a mental institution on steroids. People from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers, people, jails being emptied out into our country. Venezuela emptied out almost its entire prison population into our country. But I don't want to blame them. Many countries have done that. The Congo, we have a great press conference coming up later, and it's the Congo and Rwanda. They were fighting for years, and it was machetes, it was vicious, it was as vicious, people's heads being chopped off. And I have a man who's very good in that part of the world, very smart, and put them together. And we're signing a peace treaty today. First time in many years they're going to have peace. And it's a big deal. We talk about Russia, and we're working that one. President Putin called up and he said, I'd love to help you with Iran. I said, do me a favor. I'll handle Iran. Help me with Russia. We got to get that one settled. And I think something's going to happen there. But we did some great work. India and Pakistan. That was going to be maybe nuclear. We did that. We did a lot of work. I don't know if there's ever been a president that's done much more. Serbia, Kosovo was going to go at it. Going to be a big war. I said, you go at it. There's no trade with the United States. They said, well, maybe we won't go at it.
All right. So Jackins says, Google search, what do Jews think about killing? And according to this, Judaism considers the sanctity of life paramount, strictly prohibiting the murder of innocent people while distinguishing it from killing in self-defense or warfare. Murder is one of 3 sins so severe that one should die rather than commit them, though protecting oneself or others from an immediate threat is allowed or mandatory. Allegedly.
That's what happened with India and Pakistan. I was negotiating with both of them, and I said to Scott, I said to Howard, cancel all deals with India and Pakistan. They're not trading with us because they're in a war. They called back, what do we do? I said, look, you want to have trade with the United States, it's great. But you want to go and start using nuclear weapons on each other? We're not going to allow that. And they both agreed. Both have great leaders. They both agreed not to do it. So we did a lot, but I appreciate that question.
Sir, on peace deals, can I follow up with you? Sir, can I follow up about peace deals?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr.
Orange.
President. Thank you, Mr. President. I was just speaking with Senator Ron Johnson on the One Big Beautiful Bill, and he says he really wants to get to yes for you and get this accomplished.
He does. He's a good man.
But he also said that he needs more time, and he is not certain that the July 4th deadline is possible.
Well, then he's not such a good man.
Because there's too much work to do.
No, he's a good man. Ron
How
Johnson's
important-
doing a good job. He's very committed. Every Republican senator is committed. And, you could have a couple of grandstanders, in all fairness. You could have somebody else. And it's very dangerous because our country would go from being the most successful country in the world to who knows what happens with a 68%, think of it, 68% tax increase. That was given by the Democrats because they like high taxes. I don't know what happened. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd watch politicians talking.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, because Ocean6882 says, I think this channel is full of bots. 185 viewers, 8 likes. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all.
Say, oh, that's fun. And they were always saying, we will cut your taxes. We will cut your tax. I never heard it. They say, we will raise your taxes. And they elect people like this guy in New York that maybe has a chance. I find it hard to believe, but he maybe has a chance. They want to raise your taxes. So they want to see a 68% tax increase.
Waffle Jackson has joined the chat. Oh my gosh, where'd you go? Oh, it's someplace. Beep, boop, boop, bop.
That's more money than anybody could afford. You'd go into a depression if that ever happened. So I think there's a lot of pressure to get that approved.
How important is the July 4th deadline to you? If
It's important. It's not the end all.
August?
It can go longer, but we'd like to get it done by that time, if possible. And look, we have a lot of very committed people, and they feel very strongly about a subjects that you're not even thinking about that are important to Republicans. The problem we have is that it's a great bill. It's a popular bill, but we'll get no Democrats only because they don't want to vote for Trump. If they
Thank you.
If that bill was their bill, oh, they would be so happy. It's so great for our military. It's great for everything. And they would normally vote, but because their hatred of Trump, they have Trump derangement syndrome at levels never seen before. And instead of voting for a tax cut, they're voting for a tax increase of 68%. They're voting to destroy Social Security, destroy Medicare, and destroy Medicaid. And we're voting to make them perfect and to...
Let's make them perfect. Stephen Noel, 7719. I find it strange too, man. Only 12 likes? What's going on? Y'all don't like me? I love y'all. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Paul Salsi says TDS equals libtardation. And Potro4 says Trump is an idiot. Can we get some data behind those statements? Dr. Gregory, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for joining in on the chat. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. And MSK says, release the Island Man files, you felon.
Make them better. Make them stronger and better. They're going to destroy Medicaid, and they're going to destroy Medicare, and Social Security will follow. If you vote for the Democrats, you're dead on those three things.
Thank you, Mr. President. On a related subject, many Democrats have said that they are not going to support crypto bills in Congress only because of you and your family's personal crypto ventures. And these votes are in some cases needed to pass. Are you open to the idea of pulling away from your personal crypto ventures just for the next few years if that helps get these crypto bills passed in the next few months?
Well, it's a very funny thing, crypto. So I became a fan of crypto, and to me it's an industry. I view it as an industry, and I'm president. And if we didn't have it, China would, or somebody else would, but most likely China. China would love to.
Tam Matthews has joined the chat. It's really a low IQ thing to come in here and ad hominem attack people. Very, very accurate. Love that logical argument technique.
And we've dominated that industry. It's a big industry, by the way. In fact, when the stock market went down recently, crypto and Bitcoin and all of that went down much less than anybody else as a group.
To let y'all know, ad hominem is a sort of an argument or reaction directed against a person rather than the position they are maintaining.
And we've created a very powerful industry, and that's much more important than anything that we invest in. We invest in it, but really that was an industry that wasn't doing particularly well. I got involved with it a couple of years ago, and before the second term. I got involved before I decided to run. I only decided to run because I saw what was happening, and Biden was incompetent, and the administration was crooked and incompetent. And I was in Bitcoin then, not knowing if I was going to do it a third time. So it's become amazing. I mean, it's the jobs that it produces. And I notice more and more you pay in Bitcoin. I mean, people are saying it takes a lot of pressure off the dollar. And it's a great thing for our country. So I don't care about investing. You know, I have I have kids, and they invest in different things. They do believe in it. But I'm president, and what I did do there is build an industry that's very important. And you know, if we didn't have it, China would. Okay.
Sir, Mr. President.
Go ahead. With the glasses, gentlemen. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, are you going to cut funds in the sanctuary states, like, for instance, California, that keep supporting illegal immigration, and then these people work under
Yeah, we're giving them a
table?
hard time.
And also, in a foreign policy question.
I mean, they don't have a governor in California. They have a man that wants to give away everything to people that nobody's seen before.
Yep.
If we didn't go into Los Angeles with the military, which did a fantastic job, but if we didn't go into Los Angeles bringing in the National Guard, I would have brought the military if it was necessary, because you have to. We have the right to. That was another thing upheld by the Supreme Court. But if we didn't go in with the National Guard and be strong and tough, you wouldn't maybe have Los Angeles. It would be like the rest of California, the rest of Los Angeles. They lost 25,000 houses in a fire. They should have lost none.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I sent the water down. I had to break into their water supply because they just refused to do it. They're crazy. There's something wrong with them. They have plenty of water. They don't have droughts or anything. They have plenty. We let it come down from the Pacific Northwest. They routed all the water out into the Pacific Ocean for environmental reasons, okay? And now you have 25,000 houses, none of which would have burned down if you had the water. They didn't have water. They didn't have water for the fire pumps. They didn't have water in the sprinkler systems that people put in. So the answer is we're going to work with governors. We're going to work with radical left Democrats and Democrats. And we're going to make it good for everybody. We'll have to stop the crime in those, in the case of the cities, I think I can say just about all cities with heavy crime are run by Democrats. Go ahead.
11 lies.
Yeah, with the glasses.
I'm with you.
Go ahead, yes. Yeah, no, the man behind you, yeah, please.
President Trump, Anthony Mashak from Anthony, Lebanon. I want to ask you regarding the threats posed by Iran's allies and proxies operating in the U.S. They were threatening your life. So what do you say about that? And regarding the Lebanon, because Hezbollah is as well part of Iran's allies, is there any time frame in Lebanon regarding disarming Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Yeah, Lebanon is a great place with brilliant people. You know, it was known for the professors and doctors and had an incredible history. And hopefully we can bring it back again. I just appointed a friend of mine who's Lebanese, and I didn't know he was Lebanese. I've known him for 20 years, very, very successful man. And
Stephen Wells has joined the chat and asking, is this a channel about TDS or America First channel? I'm not sure. We try to stay centrist, but we're trying to find the truth, and everyone is welcome over here, and we're trying to develop an amazing community, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
I just appointed him, and I said, why would you want that? He said, because I was born there, I was raised there, I love it. I love it so much. I said, you know, it's very dangerous going to Lebanon as ambassador. And he said, that's what they say, but I don't care about danger. I mean, this is a guy that is just a very big business guy. He wants to give up his whole life to go to Lebanon because he believes in it so much. We're with Lebanon all the way. We'll try and straighten it out.
Your life as well. So what action?
Threaten my life? Yeah, they have threatened. I get that throbbing feeling every once in a while. Get that throbbing feeling, but you know what? That's okay. This is a
That's not right. They should never try to threaten the POTUS's life, honestly. Come on, y'all. Come on. And Giovanni Mediano says things really need to change immediately against Democrats. And I mean, the wrath of God is going to get involved. My goodness, my goodness. May only the best thing happen to all the good people on earth.
Dangerous business. What I do is a dangerous business. You know, I tell the story of the car companies and different people in different professions. You have race car drivers as an example. 1/10
Thank you, Tara.
of 1% die. Bull riders, 1/10 of 1%. That's not a lot, but it's people die. When you're president, it's about 5%. If somebody would have told me that, maybe I wouldn't have run. Okay? This is a very dangerous profession. Yeah, please.
Good morning, no.
By the way, so many questions. Should we keep this going, Pam? Or This is the opposite of Biden. Biden would take a half a question and he'd leave without answering it. Go ahead.
On Iran.
You tell me when it gets boring.
If Iran...
Are you from Iran?
No, I'm not from Iran. I'm from the UK. But if the intelligence reports conclude that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you, would you consider bombing the country again?
Without question, absolutely.
And have you had any conversations?
Turned out to be unbelievable. But, you know, our incredible flyers and our I call them the shots. These guys are unbelievable. Think from 52,000 feet, they hit the equivalent of a refrigerator door. They actually hit it right in the center, so it's much smaller than that.
Wild.
And just bomb after bomb going deeper, deeper, blowing up. Incredible, incredible thing. I don't know if you heard the general. He was very impressive. Raisin Cane. You know, he's the one that beat ISIS for me. And he did it in a matter of weeks. And I was told it was going to take 4 or 5 years. And when I got this job, I always said, if I get this job, I'm going to put that guy as the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And Dan Kane, and he, when I heard his name was Raisin, his nickname is Raisin Cane. I said, you got to be kidding. So I liked him right from the beginning. But he knocked out ISIS in a time that nobody ever thought possible. And when this attack was completed and so successful, I said, now I know how you knocked out ISIS so quickly. But we have the best people, we have the best equipment in the world. You know, I rebuilt the military during my 4 years, during my other term. We have the best equipment in the world. The problem is we gave away, you know, a lot of it, but small relatively speaking. We gave a lot of it away to Afghanistan. Shouldn't have happened. That just shows how incompetent they were. They gave all that equipment away, billions and billions of dollars worth. Shouldn't have happened, but that was small compared to what we have. Now we have a great military with great.
Miss Lil Bit 8344 says Joe Kent, director of the National Counterterrorism Center NCTC, resigned, stating that Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States and opposing the ongoing war, which he claimed was driven by, and I don't think that, but yes, we actually covered that in the live stream. Was it yesterday, the day before? And very, very interesting story what happened there. And it seems like that is a huge loss because he was the director of the counterterrorism unit there, right? And seemed like an upright standing guy, and his wife was actually extinguished. She was in the military as well. So very sad story for him, but I think he's trying to make it right by leaving. But I don't know. We don't know actually what is happening and the real reason he left. But only the best for him, and hopefully good things happen. And we're going live every day at 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. The Lord loves you. I love you.
People, okay. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Stephen.
Mr. President, congratulations. A couple of very different questions. One is Rwanda, 1994. As you grew up in New York, we all knew how horrific those attacks were. Congratulations on that treaty. There are talks that perhaps...
That's going to take place today at 3 o'clock in the Oval Office. We're going to have a signing with Rwanda and the Congo.
I have a follow-up.
So I'm a little out of my league in that one because I didn't...
The Congo. What's happening in the Congo? Anonymous says if he wants to talk about incompetence, a U.S. refueling plane accidentally refueled an Iranian jet right after refueling an American jet. How does that happen? Is that accurate? Send me a link. I would love to know and see about that.
Know too much about it. I knew one thing. They were going at it for many years and with machetes. It is one of the worst wars that anyone's ever seen. And I just happened to have somebody that was able to get it settled. I mean, just a brilliant person who...
That's amazing. Creating peace always. Boger Holler Butcher says mentally deranged leftard rainbow flag. It's flags, like, you know, holding a flag in the air, squealing again, and it's hilarious. We're going live every day at 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications.
Who is very comfortable in that part of the world. It's a very dangerous part of the world. They said, are you uncomfortable there? People are being killed. School children are being raided and killed. Horrible. And I don't even want to say how, but as viciously as I've ever heard. Are you uncomfortable? No, that's the part of the world that I know. Very comfortable. Was able to get them together and sell it. And not only that, we're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming to. Look, this is a very tough part of the world. They never thought, they were just telling me, they never thought they'd ever be coming to the White House, and they're so honored. And so we're going to give them a great big reception. But that's after many years of fighting. It's a great thing. That's at 3 o'clock, I believe.
What a great thing. Going to give them a great reception. Boger Holler Butcher says, day 4,196 of leftard's desperation, squealing, and Trump is still there, daddy. Julianne Frey says, can't have two big flaws: integrity and a conscience. Oh my gosh, seems like it. You never know. Cap Wins has joined the chat. How you doing, buddy?
Sir, are you concerned at all about secret nuclear sites in Iran? You talk about maybe just
secret nuclear sites?
Yes, there might be some of
Not really. Can I tell you? They're exhausted. And Israel's exhausted too. And I dealt with both of them. And they both wanted it settled, both of them. And we did a great job, but they're exhausted. The last thing they're thinking about right now is nuclear. You know what they're thinking of? They're thinking about tomorrow, trying to live. It's such a mess. It's such a mess. The place was bombed to hell. And no, I'm not worried about it at all. And I'm putting out a little statement. I'm going to respond to the Ayatollah's statement yesterday that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in this country. You have to tell the truth. You got beat to hell. And Israel was beat up too. They were both beat up. And it was a great time to end it. It was quick. They got the hate out. There was a lot of hate. A lot of hate. It would be great if they didn't have that hate. But the last thing they're thinking about is nuclear weapons right now. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Iris Howe with NTD Research Media with the Epoch Times. Thank you so much for doing this. It's very refreshing for all of us here,
It's a good group.
in this room.
It's refreshing.
Very refreshing. Yes, we have to have this, and
I understand what you mean.
So thank you so much for coming out here.
Other than Caroline's done a great job.
Yes,
You're referring to the past administration, not to Caroline, right?
Yes. Back to the ruling today, if you don't mind. So you have always talked about winning for the American people.
Right.
How do you think today's ruling will enable you to further deliver for American families and workers across the country, not only when it comes to immigration, but also when it comes to trade, energy? What actions are you most eager to move forward
Well, I think
now?
taking power away from these absolutely crazy radical left judges is a tremendous, this is such a big day. This is such a big day. It's like,
such a big day. Nolan O'Neill says, what I want to know, Lee, plans. You don't see conservatives doing this, and there's a difference I've learned. The difference between Republican and conservatives. This ain't the F Bush party. Part 2 next.
it's sort of sad because we're doing the signing at 3 o'clock, and this.
Cap Wins. Is that true? Troops on the ground, 100%. My goodness.
May very well dominate the signing of a big war that was going on. And
what about they just turn around? They're like, you know what? Those peace negotiations, let's go through with those peace negotiations and not have a war and not create this huge military complex.
Really affecting the continent of, think of it, the entire continent of Africa was being affected. And we're settling that war today. And this will probably be a headline. But this is a very big moment, and it gives power back to people that should have it, including Congress, including the presidency. And it only takes bad power away from judges. It really doesn't take power. It takes bad power, sick power, and unfair power. And it's really going to be, this is a very monumental decision. Yeah, please.
Yes, President, thank you very much. On July 9th, is that July 9th date set for tariffs to snap back? Or could there be a...
We can do whatever we want. We could extend it. We could make it shorter. I'd like to make it shorter. I'd like to just send letters out to everybody. Congratulations, you're paying 25%. He doesn't want, he's a much nicer person than I am. Go ahead, you finish it up?
Were you considering for the Federal Reserve then? And are you speeding up that process? I see Secretary...
Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible. I mean, I have a list of things. We're like 38 on the list. We pay, Cameroon and different places are paying the same as us.
That's right. Captain Black says, bot is just a chatter from another live. Look. So yeah, we have two lives. We have a horizontal and a vertical. So they're lives from our stream. So if you see restream 4225 and then you'll see like an at Drake JPN or at hide behind 2604. That's who is talking. It's not a bot. It's just kind of people from different channels all coming together to communicate, to try to find the truth.
Because, you know, you have somebody sets a rate at 4% or 4.5%. It's hard to go out and say we should be paying 1% when you have...
How you doing, Captain Black? Thanks for being here, buddy.
Your so-called experts doing that. And the sad part is, you know, as per the question that you asked about tariffs, we've had the tariffs, and we have less inflation than we had before. What we have is a hell of a lot more money, a hell of a lot more income, and we shouldn't be paying a rate like that. In other words, when we pay a rate, I'll tell you, each point is the equivalent of $300 billion. So if we had it down 3 points, because I think we should be at 1, you have Switzerland is at 0.25, in other words, 25% of 1%. And they're the number 1 right now, but we should be the number 1. And soon you're going to have, I think, you're going to have where the people will pay will pay, like we had a few years ago, where you put up money, you loan money, and I mean, you actually, instead of paying, you get paid. I love that. I don't know if it's any good, but I love it, where you put up money and you get paid. But we should be in a category, so we should be at the top of the list, not toward the bottom of the list.
True.
But we have a man who's not a smart man, and he probably has Trump derangement syndrome, and he's just not a smart person. What he's doing, though, he's hurting us for years to come, because if we borrow money at 2 points higher than we should be paying, that's $600 billion. Wouldn't you say those numbers are about right, Scott? So it's 2 points would be about 600, actually more than that, but about $600 billion, all because the guy doesn't want to lower the rates. He's doing the service, a very disservice, and then he goes up and talks about, I'd like to see costs come down. You know, he gets up and he does his little thing for 5 minutes, and he goes out and he goes back to the beach. He goes, I'd like to see costs come down. Well, he could lower the interest cost by $900 billion a year. All he has to do is lower rates. And everybody's saying, I was watching some of the business shows today, and they're saying, you know, Trump's right. He should really be cutting. The country's doing well. We have no inflation. Now, despite him, we're doing...
I don't know if Boger Holler is trying to get me banned, but I can't read that chat, bro, but that's hilarious. And what do you think about, all those liberal... I'm not even going to get involved.
Doing great. But if we got the rates down, we would be a rocket ship. So I think that'll be it. And I just want to thank everybody.
Yeah, Julian Fry. That's what those YouTube markers are about.
Today, first time in many years, they're going to have peace. And it's a big deal. You know, we talk about Russia, and we're working that one. President Putin called up, and he said, I'd love to help you with Iran. I said, do me a favor. I'll handle Iran. Help me with Russia. We got to get that one settled. And I think something's going to happen there.
What is happening with Russia? Oh my gosh. Hold on.
But we did some great work. India and Pakistan. That was going to be maybe nuclear. We did that. We did a lot of work. I don't know if there's ever been a president that's done much more. Serbia, Kosovo was going to go at it. Going to be a big war. I said, you go at it. There's no trade with the United States. They said, well, maybe we won't go at it. That's what happened with India and Pakistan. I was negotiating with both of them, and I said to Scott, I said to Howard, cancel all deals with India and Pakistan. They're not trading with us because they're in a war. They called back, what do we do? I said, look, you want to have trade with the United States, it's great. But you want to go and start using nuclear weapons on each other? We're not going to allow that. And they both agreed. Both have great leaders. They both agreed not to do it. So we did a lot, but I appreciate that question.
Sir, on peace deals, can I follow up with you? Sir, can I follow up on peace deals?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr.
Orange.
President. Thank you, Mr. President. I was just speaking with Senator Ron Johnson on the One Big Beautiful Bill, and he says he really wants to get to yes for you and get this accomplished.
He does. He's a good man.
But he also said that he needs more time, and he is not certain that the July 4th deadline is
Well,
possible.
then he's not such a good man.
Because there's too much work to do.
He's a good man. Ron
How
Johnson's
important-
doing a good job. He's very committed. Every Republican senator is committed. And, you know, you could have a couple of grandstanders, in all fairness. You could have somebody else. And it's very dangerous because our country would go from being the most successful country in the world to who knows what happens with a 68%. Think of it, 68% tax increase. That was given by the Democrats. because they like high taxes. I don't know what happened. You know, all my life, I'd grow up and I'd watch politicians talking. I'd say, oh, that's fun. And they were always saying, we will cut your taxes. We will cut your tax. I never heard it. They say, we will raise your taxes. And they elect people like this guy in New York that maybe has a chance. I find it hard to believe, but he maybe has a chance. They want to raise your taxes. So they want to see a 68% tax increase. That's more money than anybody could afford. You'd go into a depression if that ever happened. So I think there's a lot of pressure to get that approved.
How important is the July 4th deadline to you? If
It's important. It's not the end all. It can go longer, but we'd like to get it done by that time, if possible. And look, we have a lot of very committed people, and they feel very strongly about a subjects that you're not even thinking about that are important to Republicans. The problem we have is that it's a great bill. It's a popular bill, but we'll get no Democrats only because they don't want to vote for Trump. If that bill was their bill, oh, they would be so happy. It's so great for our military. It's great for everything. And they would normally vote, but because their hatred of Trump, they have Trump derangement syndrome at levels never seen before. And instead of voting for a tax cut, they're voting for a tax increase of 68%. They're voting.
Jason Beatrice says, where is the Save America Act? Yeah, please, come on.
To destroy Social Security, destroy Medicare, and destroy Medicaid. And we're voting to make them perfect and to make them better, make them stronger and better. They're going to destroy Medicaid, and they're going to destroy Medicare, and Social Security will follow. If you vote for the Democrats, you're dead on those three things.
Thank you, Mr. President. On a related subject, many Democrats have said that they are not going to support crypto bills in Congress only because of you and your family's personal crypto ventures. And these votes are in some cases needed to pass. Are you open to the idea of pulling away from your personal crypto ventures just for the next few years if that helps get these crypto bills passed in the next few months?
Well, it's a very funny thing, crypto. So I became a fan of crypto, and to me it's an industry. I view it as an industry.
Tune Triple X says, hey Mod, if it's proven that Trump has done horrible things to little ones, we still feel the need to definitely not going to defend him if he's done bad things. Come on. Like, honestly, that's not good. You got to take care of everybody. And you got to be an upright citizen. You can't be doing that bad stuff. Absolutely not. I don't think anyone in their right mind would support someone who does bad things like that. The only thing is, I've heard people say that, but I don't know actually, like, do you have proof that he's done things like that?
And I'm president, and if we didn't have it, China would, or somebody else would, but most likely China would love to. And we've dominated that industry. It's a big industry, by the way. In fact, when the stock market went down recently, crypto and Bitcoin and all of that went down much less than anybody else as a group. And we've created a very powerful industry, and that's much more important than anything that we invest in. We invest in it, but really that was an industry that wasn't doing particularly well. I got involved with it a couple of years ago. And before the second term, I got involved before I decided to run. I only decided to run because I saw what was happening, and Biden was incompetent, and the administration was crooked and incompetent. And I was in Bitcoin then, not knowing if I was going to do it a third time.
Jason Beatrice has joined the chat saying, I disagree with Trump all the time. I'm still not voting Democrat.
So it's become amazing. I mean, it's the jobs that it produces. And I notice more and more you pay in Bitcoin. I mean, people are saying it takes a lot of pressure off the dollar. And it's a great thing.
Dang, Shelby, hope you can get that back. That's so sad.
For our country. So I don't care about investing. You know, I have I have kids and they invest in different things. They do believe in it. But I'm president, and what I did do there is build an industry that's very important. And you know, if we didn't have it, China would. Okay.
Sir, Mr. President.
Go ahead. With the glasses, gentlemen. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, are you going to cut funds in the sanctuary states, like, for instance, California? They keep supporting illegal immigration, and then these people work under
Yeah, we're giving
the
them a
table.
hard time.
And also, in a foreign policy question.
I mean, they don't have a governor in California. They have a man that wants to give away everything to people that nobody's seen before. If we didn't go into Los Angeles with the military, which did a fantastic job, but if we didn't go in to Los Angeles, bringing in the National Guard. I would have brought the military if it was.
Got to bring in that National Guard once in a while. Double B goes to trial today, according to Mr. Rockstar MAU. Oh my goodness. What's going to happen there? Is that trial televised? Unreal, man. If you got a link, send it to me, please. We're going live every day at 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
It was necessary because you have to. We have the right to. That was another thing upheld by the Supreme Court. But if we didn't go in with the National Guard and be strong and tough, you wouldn't maybe have Los Angeles. It would be like the rest of California, the rest of Los Angeles. They lost 25,000 houses in a fire. They should have lost none. You know, I sent the water down. I had to break into their water supply.
How you doing?
Because they just refused to do it. They're crazy. There's something wrong with them. They have plenty of water. They don't have droughts or anything. They have plenty.
Yeah, that was an absolute scam. Newsom wanted to not. He basically didn't allow the Los Angeles Fire Department to use water to save multi-million-dollar houses in Los Angeles, and instead decided to let that water just drain out into the Pacific Ocean because of a fish that is not even close to being extinct. And it's horrible, just letting people die and letting all of their wealth go down the drain. And mind you, what was it? Close to 80% of the houses were not insured by fire. So some people think this was like an insurance scam. And it's just so unfortunate that they wouldn't allow water to be in the fire hydrants. We're going live every day at 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
We let it come down from the Pacific Northwest. They routed all the water out into the Pacific Ocean for environmental reasons, okay? And now you have 25,000 houses, none of which would have burned down if you had the water. Absolutely. They didn't have water. They didn't have water for the fire pumps. They didn't have water in the sprinkler systems that people put in. So
Curtis Morrison, 6129, knows. He says, Newsom is evil. No brainer, bro. 100%.
The answer is we're going to work with governors. We're going to work with radical left Democrats and Democrats, and we're going to make it good for everybody. We'll have to stop the crime in those. Or in the case of the cities, I think I can say just about all cities with heavy crime are run by Democrats. Go ahead.
11
Yeah, with the glasses.
I'm with you.
Go ahead, yes. Yeah, no, the man behind you, yeah, please.
President Trump, Anthony Mashak from Amphibia, Lebanon. I want to ask you regarding the threats posed by Iran's allies and proxies operating in the U.S. They were threatening your life. So what do you say about that? And regarding the Lebanon, because Hezbollah is as well part of Iran's allies, is there any time frame in Lebanon regarding disarming Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Yeah, Lebanon is a great place with brilliant people. You know, it was known for the professors and doctors and had an incredible history. And hopefully we can bring it back again. I just appointed a friend of mine who...
Yeah, Lebanon is an amazing place. Eric Klein. Yeah, it's all good. I'm good. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
He was Lebanese, and I didn't know he was Lebanese. I've known him for 20 years. Very, very successful man.
Loki, that was the plan of California, to level everything where you can make it how you want it. I hope not. But it seems like they did do that, in fact, in Hawaii and certain parts of Los Angeles, and they tried to run some weird scams that Gavin Newsom was found to be tangled into, and a lot of people were not happy about that.
And I just appointed him, and I said, why would you want that? He said, because I was born there, I was raised there, I love it. I love it so much. I said, you know, it's very dangerous going to Lebanon as ambassador. And he said, that's what they say, but I don't care about danger. I mean, this is a guy that is just a very big business guy. He wants to give up his whole life to go to Lebanon because he believes in it so much. We're with Lebanon all the way. We'll try and straighten it out.
Your life as well. So what action?
Threaten my life? Yeah, they have threatened. I get that throbbing feeling every once in a while. Get that throbbing feeling, but...
Yeah, that's so wild, man. Oh, Les Paul are non-embarrassed California native. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. And this is the Ballroom explained that they're creating over there at the White House.
Trust for Historic Preservation filed a lawsuit in December 2025, arguing that the demolition may have violated federal preservation laws.
Thank you, Carl Kramer. Appreciate it, brother.
And even the media was left just to stare, as the historic building was demolished. According to one news outlet, workers on the site were not allowed to answer any questions from the media. Some were even reportedly required to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Which raises a bigger question. Why was there so little transparency around a project this significant?
Daniel Castro, 3622. Should be going live soon, if not already. Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Especially when it involves tearing down part of one of the most historic buildings in the country. And in the meantime, the White House complex is already starting to look very different ever since Trump returned to office in 2025. One of the most notable changes happened in the Rose Garden, that borders the Oval Office and the West Wing. For many years, it has been used as a space for press conferences, ceremonial announcements, and meetings with world leaders. This is also where Trump initially announced his tariffs, that triggered tension.
Alright, y'all. We love Trump, but we have some recent news, and we gotta see what's going on over here. Seeks trial delay. Cites urgent security risks. What? Trial to resume post ceasefire now faces fresh delay. Opposition slams timing of a new trial delay bid by Israeli Prime Minister.
Tension is rising, not just on the battlefield, but inside Israel's own courtrooms. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is once again asking for a delay in his corruption trial, this time citing security concerns, a request that comes at a highly sensitive moment, because the trial was set to resume this Sunday after Israel lifted its state of emergency following a ceasefire with the Iran conflict. But now, Netanyahu's legal team says he cannot appear, at least not for the next 2 weeks. In a court filing, his lawyers argue that classified security and diplomatic reasons make it impossible for the prime minister to testify right now.
If you don't know like the background behind this guy and you saw this guy, kind of looks like a nice guy, right?
Details not public. Instead, they've been submitted in a sealed envelope to the court, a confidential explanation that only judges will review. And now the court must decide, delay the trial again or push forward. This isn't the first time. Netanyahu's corruption trial, which began back in 2020, has already faced multiple delays. Wars, security crises, political instability. Each time, proceedings pushed further down the line. And now, another request. At the center of the case are serious allegations: bribery, fraud, breach of trust.
Bribery, fraud, breach of trust? No, come on, that has to be fake. Maybe.
Charges that Netanyahu denies, but if convicted, they could carry significant legal consequences, including possible prison time, making this one of the most high-stakes trials in Israel's history.
Did you guys hear that? That Double B was about to be kicked out, and then that's one of the reasons he had to start that huge conflict, just to kind of divert the attention away from him.
And there's another layer: timing, because Israel is heading toward national elections in October. Polls suggest Netanyahu's coalition, already under pressure, could face a difficult battle. And critics are asking, is this delay about security or strategy? Meanwhile, the regional situation remains volatile. The recent war with Iran, marked by missile exchanges and airstrikes, has only just paused under a fragile ceasefire, and tensions with Lebanon continue to simmer. All of this forms the backdrop to Netanyahu's request. Now, all eyes are on the court. Will it accept the request? Because this decision is not just about timing, it's about accountability at the highest level of power.
Daddy's home. that's wild. Let's see if this one. This is more recent.
As Iran's missile arsenal survives weeks of strikes, questions grow over whether Netanyahu now fears a fresh attack more than ever. Critics accuse Netanyahu of bunker politics, saying he's not ready to face the public while the Iran threat looms large. Opponents claim Israel's prime minister doesn't want to step out, amid
Marcus, the community has joined the chat. How you doing, buddy?
mounting fears of another strike from Iran. Netanyahu points to the Iran crisis as his corruption trial once again slams on the brakes.
Yeah, and if you have a question about what an anti-Semite is, we covered that extensively in our live, our previous live, and yeah, it's very interesting because Semites are people from a certain area, and the Palestinians are actually Semites and have a closer relation to the actual Semites, and Israel has attacked 5 out of the 20 Semitic countries. So if Israeli calls you a anti-Semite, you can accurately say back to them that they are a quarter anti-Semite themselves, according to their government and who they have attacked. Allegedly. Not facts, but allegedly.
Fueling anger among his critics. With Iran's new hardline regime emerging even stronger after the war, Israeli media ask, is the IDF quietly warning Bibi about what comes next? Amid rising regional tensions, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has moved to delay the latest stage of his long-running corruption trial. Netanyahu has formally requested a postponement of his court testimony, which had been scheduled to resume on April 10th. His legal team has argued that ongoing security challenges, particularly those linked to the current conflict involving Iran, make his appearance in court impossible for now, according to
I said semi instead of quarter, right?
reports. In a filing to the Jerusalem court, they stated that the Prime Minister would be unavailable to testify for at least an additional 2 weeks. Jerusalem District Court filing read, and I quote, "Due to classified security and diplomatic reasons connected to the dramatic events that have taken place in the State of Israel and throughout the Middle East in recent times, the Prime Minister will not be able to testify in the proceeding for at least the next 2 weeks." Unquote. Netanyahu's lawyers have submitted additional material to the court, outlining what they describe as sensitive diplomatic and security considerations to justify the requested delay. The Jerusalem District Court is expected to review the request only after it receives and studies the prosecution's formal response. The proceedings had been scheduled to resume on April 5th, after authorities lifted special emergency measures imposed during the recent war. Despite Netanyahu's request, defense lawyers have indicated they are ready to continue hearing the testimony of a prosecution witness. Netanyahu has consistently denied the allegations of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust that were filed against him in 2019 following years of investigations. He remains the first sitting Israeli prime minister ever to be charged with criminal offenses while still in office, a historic and deeply polarizing milestone. The trial, which began in 2020 and could carry potential jail time, has faced repeated delays tied to Netanyahu's official responsibilities and overlapping national crises. The ongoing war and regional instability have further complicated scheduling, prolonging uncertainty over when the case will finally conclude. Political pressure on Netanyahu has mounted in the wake of the Hamas attacks and subsequent regional escalation, with critics accusing him of mishandling the crisis. Adding to the sense of turmoil, Judge Benny Sagi, a senior jurist linked to the broader Netanyahu corruption proceedings, was killed on January 5th when a vehicle plowed into his motorcycle on Route 6. Recent opinion polls suggest that Netanyahu's governing coalition could face significant electoral losses in the next national elections if public anger continues to grow. As the US boasts of having decimated Iran's military, a new analysis is openly questioning whether Washington ever grasped the true scale of the IRGC's missile power. On April 7th, Trump declared that the US had met and exceeded all its military objectives in the Iran war and could pause bombing from a position of strength. His Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, doubled down by calling Operation Epic Fury a capital V victory that left Iran's military combat ineffective for years.
David Well joined the chat. It says Ballroom, not Ballroom. Never heard that. That's a funny one.
President Trump forged this moment. Iran begged for this ceasefire.
All right, so as far as Netanyahu, there's this thing called Lady Justice. It's an allegorical personification of the moral force and judicial system, symbolizing fairness, impartiality, and the rule of law. So basically, if you see her statue, let me see if you guys can see this pretty well. So you see that she has a blindfold on, and then in her hand, she has weights here and a sword here. So how it's supposed to work, from what I understand, is she can't see the things that's happening, but with this scale, she can kind of weigh the good and the bad. So say, for instance, Netanyahu does go to trial. Is Lady Justice going to be utilized in a correct way, or is it going to be altered? That's the question. And yeah, we will see. Like, what do you think? If you don't know who he is or what he is, but you just show like all of those things that he did, is he going to actually be charged and convicted or not?
And we all know it. As the President Truth this morning, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory. By any measure, Epic Fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come.
However, Brazil-based analyst Patricia Murrins argues that Western counts of Iran's missiles are wildly understated and ignore decades of serial production. During last year's 12-day conflict, Murrins estimated Iran's stockpile at close to 20,000 missiles, not a few thousand. Her breakdown pointed to roughly 7,000 to 8,000 ballistic missiles and 12,000 to 13,000 cruise missiles in various roles. Those figures, she says, include both active
Operation Island Man Fury.
Operational rounds and large numbers held in reserve across Iran's dispersed depots. Murrins notes that Iran began mass-producing Shahab-2 missiles in the early 1990s and kept those lines running for around 15 years. Shahab-3 then entered production from about 2004 to 2008, before being edged out by more modern, longer-range systems. In 2015, Tehran launched a major program to upgrade guidance systems on older missiles rather than scrap them. As a result, thousands of legacy missiles were modernized and pushed into reserve stocks instead of being retired. By roughly 2010, Iran had around a dozen different ballistic and cruise missile models in production at the same time. By 2010, Iran had about 12 missile models in active production, using multiple lines to push out different systems at the same time. Those parallel lines meant Tehran could sustain output across families of missiles rather than relying on a single flagship weapon. After 2015, between 8 and 12 missile types with ranges above 1,000 kilometers reportedly entered or stayed in active production. Long-range cruise missiles such as Sumar and Meshkat are believed to exceed 2,000 kilometers, putting distant bases and cities in reach. Solid fuel systems like Ahmad and Sejal also cross the 2,000, allowing fast, survivable launches from deep inside Iran. Together, these standoff systems let Iran strike targets across the region without ever sending a manned jet near hostile defenses. Murrins flatly rejects Western think tank claims that Iran had only about 2,500 missiles in stockpile at the start of this war. She calls those lowball estimates illogical, given Iran's decades of mass production and multiple simultaneous assembly lines. On what she describes as a conservative calculation, Murrins argues Iran's arsenal now exceeds 17,000 missiles. Patricia Murrins said, and I quote, "If we assume a conservative average production rate of roughly 100 units per model per year, taking into account multiple parallel production lines, that alone would give Iran, over the last 15 years, an arsenal exceeding 17,000 missiles. There is simply no logic in claiming that Iran, after more than 30 years of dedicated missile production with multiple active lines, had only 2,500 missiles in stockpile as of February, as many Western think tanks claim." These estimates consistently understate Iran's real industrial capacity. Iran has an entire ecosystem of public companies, private firms, and startups, with more than 300 companies dedicated to the missile sector, out of a total of another 6,500 that support the country's defense in various areas. Unquote.
That's something else, man. Too much. Way too much. Operation, baby.
Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Alex Jones. So we broke down Trump's truth tweet about Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Alex Jones, how he absolutely humiliated them. And Nick Fuentes does an amazing job at breaking this down and explaining these are the people that voted for Trump. So Trump just sent this big sounding message to his entire voter base that if you voted for me, no matter what you've done for me, no matter how much effort you've put in, no matter how much you've helped my campaign, I'm not running for re-election. I don't give a shit about the Republican Party. I don't care about any of you motherfuckers. All I care about is making myself filthy rich and lining the pockets of my family and selling every bit of America's sovereignty to fucking Israel. Check this clip out.
On Truth Social,
Oh, yeah, cares.
this evening, Trump called out everybody. Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. One notable exception, what's that all about? Some might say he doesn't want the Groyper curse. Maybe he just doesn't care that much about me. Maybe I'm not a big enough deal. Why? Because I wasn't on Fox News or something? But today, Trump took the gloves off and he lit into all of the major Israel-critical anti-war pundits attacking, quote, bankrupt Alex Jones, crazy Candace Owens.
Yeah, we do want peace. We definitely do want peace. Where did that chat go? Sorry, I'm trying to find the chat, but yeah, everybody wants peace, 100%. The thing is the people who don't want peace usually are not the ones that are going out there and fighting or sending their own children out there to fight. So yeah, that's absolutely true. I think majority of the people in the world do want peace.
Tucker and Megyn Kelly, he lit into all of them in literally a 500-word post on Truth Social, attacking all of them, excoriating them. And you gotta wonder, so if that's not your target demographic, who the fuck is even in this MAGA movement at all anymore? Because everything on Truth Social it's against the Democrats, it's against James Comey, it's against Mueller, who died, and that actor who died, and it's against the Wall Street Journal, and it's against people on Fox, and now it's against the 4 biggest conservative podcasters in America. What's the market share? What is the market share of Tucker plus Candace plus Megyn Kelly plus Alex Jones? I think that's probably like 70% or more of the conservative podcasting audience, or you could even say media audience. What did he say last year? If you want the Epstein files, you're not MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene was thrown under the bus. Thomas Massey thrown under the bus. Okay, so who's even left then? If it's not the left, and it's not the middle, and it's not Tucker, Candace, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, Marjorie Greene, Thomas Massey, who does that leave? It's the Villages, it's Mark Levin, Randy Fine, Lindsey Graham. I think those are the only people that are still MAGA. Joe Rogan's out. All In Podcast is out. Joe Kent is out. Who's left? Theo Vaughn is out. You know, all the Austin, Texas comedians are out. Who's left? Who do you got left? Barry Weiss? It's crazy. So we'll talk about it. It was kind of funny. It was kind of a funny post, I'm not gonna lie. Trump said that Brigitte Macron is prettier than Candace Owens.
Prettier than Candace Owens? Speaking of Candace Owens.
That's kind of funny. He said, crazy Candace Owens, who says the president of France's wife is a man, but who is far prettier. That's kind of funny. And what's rich, actually, about the post, and we'll get into it, is that all these people voted for Trump. Isn't that delicious? Voted for Trump. They all were shocked and surprised that Trump brought us to war in Iran and opposed it. And now, one by one, Trump throws each and every one of them under the bus. Gotta love it. And the one person that was spared was me. And I didn't even vote for him. I still have never been disavowed by Trump. Isn't that crazy? I didn't get disavowed by Trump after the dinner. I didn't get disavowed by Trump after the Tucker cost when he was asked about me. And even though I'm on the timeline just really laying into Trump, still no disavowal, which is kind of hilarious. People that have given their life to Trump, literally. People that were in Trump's cabinet, people that lost their livelihood, people that went to jail for Trump, people that voted for Trump 3 times and campaigned for him, they have all been thrown under the bus. They have all been totally disavowed, publicly humiliated, ritualistically humiliated. But me, I'm good.
Nick Fuentes is good. He's good. Everybody loves Nick Fuentes, man. Everybody.
Stick. They're creating an ancient survival tool that may
to conceal identities of the 2 C-130 pilots. State of Israel border control B2 permit. Ryder Amanda. They're not hiding any names. All right. September 2027. Very interesting. American Express showing the numbers except the last few. All right. Very bold. You got an American flag. Big bullets.
گذاشته بودن اینجا که بعدا بخاطر ازش استفاده بکنن. خیلی مبناهایی هست که بعدا اینجا گذاشته بودن که بعد که خواهدن هیتی بکنن ازش چیکار کنن استفاده کنن دستگاه
Charles Coe says, this is all the stuff Biden left in Afghanistan. Oh my gosh.
Highly doubt. And though I highly...
All right, so y'all know the beloved Candace Owens. How can you not like her, right? How can you not? So Alex Jones says Candace Owens was ahead of the curve, and he officially apologizes to her. Candace Owens plays a compilation of former Trump allies disavowing and criticizing him as the tarnishing of his legacy continues. He is even getting slammed on Truth Social, his own platform.
Doubt that you will be permitted any opportunity to see what the crowd now thinks of you. I have to do my best to try. So here you are. Take a listen.
I don't know who's whispering to this guy's ear like freaking Grima Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings, but they're telling you wrong stuff, bro. Half of the people that I grew up with in this movement are not on Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin's team, okay? We aren't neocons. We aren't war hawks. We want America first. And if you make me choose between America first and MAGA, it's America first all day. That's what MAGA was supposed to be. You were just the best vessel for it, bro. Don't get it twisted.
But as bad as he is, as corrupt as he's gotten, the insider trading, all of it, I'm really glad he's differentiating and saying, you're not with me, because I'm not with you. I don't want to be at your cool, corrupt kid, Howard Lutnick, Jeffrey Epstein class table. Thank you so much for delineating that I'm not with you, a sinking, burning ship. He wasn't loyal to his original mission. He wasn't loyal to America, and he became a creature of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, and all of his never Trumper enemies are now the courtiers with the madness of King Lear, telling him the lies and worshiping him the way he wants to hear it, and I am not one of those people.
This proves one of many things. The first thing, he shouldn't be in office anymore. Implement the 25th. He's not loyal to this country, and he's not loyal to anybody. Well, except for that little country in the Middle East. It's almost like he does what he's told, and the last president to tell that little country no was JFK, and we all know what happened to him. It's like Donald Trump. How can you call them losers when you lose to Bibi Netanyahu in Israel every single day? When's the last time you told them no to anything?
He said Brigitte Macron is far more beautiful than Candace Owens.
All I can say is he's been blind.
That's all across the internet. Take your pick, left and right. People understand that message was really your basket of deplorables moment. I mean, even on Truth Social, your very own platform, they've turned on you. Let's go through just some of these responses, okay? What? You are way out of line. Most of these people, especially Alex Jones, have been your day ones. That's correct. Just to remind you, Trump, when no one would have you on, when no media company would have you on, Alex Jones had you on his show. This person continues, you need to take a step back and take.
That's so wild. When no one would, Alex Jones does. Like, how important is it to just remember, like, the people that helped you get to the places you are? And that's an interesting thing, you know, in life. Always remember to give back to those people that helped you.
Take a good hard look at who is whispering in your ear and get back to America first. Next person, Trump, you are just going against everyone that fought for him to win just because of the Epstein files and being at war with Iran for Israel. They didn't leave MAGA, MAGA left them. Clearly you are insane. Time to resign, Donald, or face the 25th. You are mentally and emotionally unfit to be POTUS.
In Iran because of the Island Man files? Come on.
You are so childish. Clearly, the truth has triggered you, being one of your biggest supporters. I am done with you and your lies. Look at the mess that you have gotten our country into by bending the knee to a monster.
My goodness. Just dropping the heat. We are going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
I could go on and on, but I have to say that when I was looking online, in my view, what was the most brutal and sadly a recurring response?
Just read that one-eyed dollar. Can't read that chat, bro.
Response all across social media was this. Take a look at this tweet about Charlie. People were saying that Charlie would be on this list if they hadn't killed him. Like I said, many people said that in different ways. Charlie would be on this list if they hadn't killed him. So you should probably take a second to fully absorb what is being implied there. What is being implied there is that there is no truth and there is no loyalty within you.
Man. How did the crowd like Trump in 25 versus 26?
to a standing ovation, the 47th President of the United States of America, flanked by UFC CEO Dana White and others, Donald J. Trump.
Is there anybody else that has a walk-in other than a fighter? I mean, he has some music, Kid Rock starts playing.
He had one at the NCAA tournament too. He always gets a walkout. It's like a prerequisite for him coming. Give him the walkout. People love it.
Yes, they do.
Well, and what he loves is mixed martial arts, right? I mean, he talks about watching these fight nights when he is not in the building. And President Trump making his way to the octagon yet again for a massive UFC pay-per-view event.
Gotta talk to him about the fights. He really loves fights.
The 45th and now 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
With major trading partners all over the world.
We'll sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs.
But under Trump's redesign, a huge portion of that garden has been transformed. The main grass section has been replaced with paved stone, creating a patio-style terrace with umbrella-covered tables similar to that of his Mar-a-Lago club. The idea behind the paved surface was for the space to be more practical for events. From what we know, this kind of change is fairly typical and similar to what past presidents have done. Inside the building, there have also been some noticeable aesthetic changes. These include the addition of gold accents and ornaments throughout parts of the room, a style that closely resembles the interiors of Trump's private properties. There's also the Presidential Walk of Fame, located along the West Colonnade, a gallery featuring portraits of almost all previous US presidents in gold frames, except one, Joe Biden. Instead of his portrait, the display
The auto pen. The auto pen. For Joe Biden. Is this not the most hilarious troll move you have ever seen from a president ever? Ever? This is a classic photo. This is a classic Trump photo. This underlit photo. Man, this is hilarious. And this is Joe Biden's presidential picture.
Includes a picture of an auto pen, a reference to Trump's incorrect claims that Biden's executive orders were not legally binding as they were signed by an auto pen and not by Joe Biden himself. But Biden did win the 2020 election, and he served as president starting in 2021. So this isn't just a missing portrait. It's the White House itself pushing Trump's political narrative inside a building that's supposed to stand above exactly that. And those are just the changes happening inside it, because some of the most controversial ideas go far beyond the gates of the White House, including proposals that could reshape parts of Washington, D.C. itself. One of the most striking ideas is something that has informally been called the Memorial Circle Arch. The proposal would place a massive triumphal arch here, at the western end of the Arlington Memorial Bridge near the border with Virginia. The inspiration behind it is fairly obvious: the iconic Arc de Triomphe in Paris. The proposal has even been dubbed as the Arc de Trump. At 76 meters or 250 feet tall, it would even be taller than the Arc de Triomphe itself. Similar to his proposed ballroom, the Arc de Triomphe is also facing criticism for its lack of approval from Congress and its disruption of historic architecture. And yet, somehow, even that idea isn't the most unhinged proposal linked to Trump. We have one more. A UFC event that will be held on the south lawn of the White House complex. Yes, a professional cage fight right outside the presidential residence. The event is officially called the UFC Freedom 250 and is scheduled for June 14th, a date that was chosen very deliberately. Trump says the event was made to celebrate the 250th anniversary of US independence. But as you might already know, June 14th isn't Independence Day. That's actually Trump's 80th birthday.
80th birthday. All right. Is this true? Hold on, chat. Let's see this. I think I might need your help in distinguishing whether this is true or not. This is going to take a million years to load. Maybe I got to close that for this one to open up.
So yeah, it's pretty obvious what this event is really for. Instead of using a permanent arena, the event would transform the South Lawn into a temporary outdoor fight venue. At the center would be the iconic UFC octagon, surrounded by temporary seating and lightning rigs, with the White House itself serving as the dramatic backdrop for the broadcast. Large viewing screens will be set up nearby at the Ellipse, where as many as 85,000 spectators could gather to watch the fight live. The event is estimated to cost $60 million. And
yeah, that UFC fight is going to be gnarly. So gnarly. $1 greatest president Russia ever installed.
Just like the ballroom, organizers say no taxpayer money will be used. For more than 2 centuries, the White House has evolved very carefully. Changes were usually made slowly.
Incredible. Look at that architecture. Just so classic. That architecture just never goes old. It's so beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Would be nice if America started to do some great architecture like this again.
Often with approval from Congress, preservation commissions and historical experts. Even major renovations were designed to preserve the building's historic appearance.
All right, no, chat, this is what I was talking about. This is the news that I want to know if this is real or if this is fake. Load, buddy. All right.
And symbolic role. What's happening now feels very different. It's one president reshaping the country's most historical residence according to his own personal taste. And all of this is happening in just the first year of Trump's second term. Who knows what else he's planning to do for the
Nellisphere. Larry Fink wants Trump extinguished. Honestly, what for? How?
remaining 3 years of his...
Some people say it might be a conspiracy theory. They're saying that Mr. Trump is the demo team for Mr. Larry Fink, but who knows if that's actually accurate.
presidency. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below.
Palm Beach. This is what I want to know, chat. This is only 1 minute long, but it's a good 1 minute. These guys do look similar, right? Very, very similar. Got the similar teeth structure here. They say this is all the evidence we have to confirm Palm Beach Pete is actually Island Man. I don't know.
Pete is actually Jeffrey Epstein.
Didn't Island Man not like tattoos? That's a wild picture, man. Marcus Polo says that's not Island Man. It's so easy to tell, you goofballs. Yeah. Yeah. Just trying to find the truth, man. Not saying it is, but just checking it out.
Palm Palm Beach Pete accidentally admitted a detail that means he and this guy may be the same person, allegedly. Take a look and take a listen at what he says in this interview on accident. This is weird.
Back in the day, when I was living in the city, I went to a couple of parties and Epstein was there.
Not only was he in Palm Beach the same time the other guy was, he was also in New York at the same time and went back to Palm Beach at the same time. That these two seem to be in the same places everywhere simultaneously.
When he first got arrested, when he was on the New York Post, I guess he died in 19 or 18, so when he got arrested, when he came back from Paris and they took him to the correctional facility, I was on the Post, I lived in the city, and people were always circling me around me and giving me double looks.
Wait, in 2019, you're
He's telling him to hush.
saying you lived in New York City?
Yes.
So you've been everywhere he goes.
Yes.
Yeah, here's the actual video. Yeah, I don't know the reason those voices sounded fake. You never know. You never know. Just don't know. Just don't know, honestly. What do you guys think? Tara doesn't see it. Not really, It could be a body double. It could be a body double. Yeah, it's... definitely questionable. That's what I could say. They're saying that is him. Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. I don't know. A lot of people are saying he's alive for sure, like 100% alive.
Like, this is nuts. Yeah. This is nuts.
How would we spot a Nazi walking down the street today?
They have a red hat on.
Okay. So Trump supporters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think that we should be punching them?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you justify violence against Trump supporters?
I don't know.
Do you think that we should be justifying violence against a certain group of people?
Black or brown people, you mean? So are you identifying as a Nazi?
No, I don't identify as a Nazi. Do you identify as a Nazi?
No, I am anti-fascist.
What is fascism?
Do you know how to read?
I do, yep.
Okay, well, that's a step in the right direction.
Okay, what is fascism though?
I'm done talking to you.
It's funny, you don't really advocate for talking to people. I am a Trump supporter. And I do have a red hat and I wear it. I actually have a red sparkly jacket that says Trump MAGA on it. Would you advocate for people to punch me?
Maybe.
That is insane.
Maybe.
You agree with violence against women for their political opinion.
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You sure?
Yeah, punch women if they have a MAGA hat and a MAGA jacket on. Goodness gracious, man.
Like, this is nuts.
That is wild, man.
I actually came away from reading a lot of the Epstein stuff with the view of Israel that was diminished. I thought Israel had less power. Of course he was working with Mossad. I said that and got called a Jew hater or whatever. It was just true. But what he really was doing was acting as an employee of others, as a kind of communications hub between the biggest stakeholders in the West. And
what in the world? Yeah, man. So much blackmail from a white male, allegedly.
So what you really saw was that governments aren't in charge. There's no meaningful nation state with full sovereignty. Like, that's just not a thing. There's a suprastructure whose outlines I can't fully see, but it's clearly there, and it's not all being run from the Levant.
Oh, Barry has joined in on the chat. How you doing, buddy? How you doing?
It's by Netanyahu, who's probably got an IQ of 110. He's not a genius. So, like, it's way bigger than Israel. Israel's just like a place to, hide out if you've been accused of a crime, get a passport, do some money laundering, whatever. It's a lot of things, but Israel's not running the world.
What did I miss? What did I miss? Oh my gosh. Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. What do you mean by hitting bags? What are you gonna do? Boxing? Punch some boxing bags? Yeah, this is wild that Tucker's saying that they're not as strong as they were. This is kind of worrisome for Europe.
Russia is actively considering the use of nuclear weapons against Europe.
I hope not. I hope they are not doing that, man. That's bad. I hope all war stops, honestly.
Specifically,
Lightning Fox Tucker is a good guy. Seems like it, man. He seems like a great guy and with some very valid arguments. Very much so.
The UK and Germany.
Next.
Is that a no on the matching lower back tattoos? Does he have lower back tattoos? Everybody, we're going live every single day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. How you doing, Remy1339?
That will be a waves of nuclear. My choice would be Britain and Germany.
No one seems to be paying.
Britain and Germany. Britain and Germany. Wasn't Britain the one that convinced USA to help overcome Germany in World War II?
Paying any attention at all to the biggest story of our lifetimes, potentially. Russia has rewritten its nuclear strategy to include use of nuclear weapons against countries that are acting as proxies for nuclear armed powers. And then last week, a week ago, Russia sent hypersonic missiles into Ukraine. This was
hypersonic missiles.
an attack designed to say, whoa, we feel like our core interests or existential interests are threatened, and if you don't back off, the next one will have a nuclear warhead on it. And
Sitting corrected, Barry says, no, we were neutral until Japan attacked. Okay.
It's coming at you, Europe.
I think his handle's Dankster Intel. Danks did a remarkable job of demonstrating that not only is the timing wrong with the alleged Discord confession, but the mechanics of the alleged Discord confession are all wrong as well. I will admit I'm not a techie. He speaks at a level and talks about these things that in a level I just don't follow very quickly. I would have to watch it multiple times to understand it. But if you're interested in the Discord confession and somebody who just tore it apart, look at it. Watch Danks. Watch last night. It was about maybe from like the 15-minute mark to maybe the 55-minute mark, I think was probably about a 30, 40-minute run where he really just kind of disproved the whole thing. It's formatting, it's imaging, it's font, it's date, the way the dates are written, the way the emojis look, everything's wrong. Everything's wrong with it. And he did a really good job. He did a really good job. And I walked away thinking, okay, no wonder they had to fake it because it's not real. And they did an okay job trying to fake it. And had we all moved on after a couple of days, they'd have gotten away with it. But we did not. We did not move on. And then I got a call today. Got a call and said, hey, great show last night. Do you remember Candace's show from September 17th? And I said, no, I watched it. Sure, I've watched all her shows on this topic, but I don't remember that particular one. Do you care to enlighten me on what it might have been about? And he said, what you did was confirm what she had been reporting. And I said, well, let me go watch it. So we'll watch it together because I think I agree with this person. I did, in fact, confirm what she had been reporting, and I don't remember her mentioning this since. This is all the way back on September 17th, 1 week to the day. 1 week to the day after Charlie Kirk was removed from this temporal plane. Candace Owens had this to say about when Tyler Robinson allegedly was in custody.
It's because Tyler told him, duh. You're going, wow, if Lance is really not guilty and he hasn't done anything, this would be a good time to speak, right? No, Lance is not doing that because Tyler right here says, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. And if any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. So that's how it happens. And I want to tell you that we can jump back into the timeline here. Our source informs us that it was around 7 o'clock p.m. when everybody locally began receiving the text messages that Tyler Robinson was in custody.
It was about 7 p.m. local time when everyone around town starts receiving the text messages that Tyler Robinson not will be in custody in the next couple of hours, but is in custody. It's about 7 p.m. when everyone in town, you know how it works. You know how it works when you live in a small town. I live in a small town. Trust me, if somebody my kids had gone to high school with was in this situation, we would have known about it within 10 minutes or so. That's the way.
And Tara Matthews says, Tyler Robinson is from my town. Do people in your town think that he is the one who extinguished Charlie or somebody else, or was it a different type of job?
It works. I'll give you an example from just today. There was a little kerfuffle in town involving one of the high schools. It did not take long before the grapevine, the coconut telephone, the coconut telegram, heard it on the coconut telegram. It's a Jimmy Buffett song. I don't remember the name of it. Coconut telegraph. Coconut telegraph. It didn't take long for the local grapevine to get kicked up, and everybody in town already knew about it before they checked it out and realized it was a fake call. But it involved one of the high schools. This is the way small towns work.
It doesn't get talked about. That's so wild. Make sure you all like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We're going live every day of 2026.
When you have a national scandal like this, an international scandal like this, you have prime ministers of foreign countries weighing in on the death of an American political figure, disclaiming the responsibility for being involved in the death of an American political figure. I mean, it's a big deal.
Absolutely. Charlie Kirk was a pure soul, and that was a problem from Barry. Absolutely, 100%, man. 100%. Angel on earth, and such a wise and smart man.
And then someone in your little hometown that your kids went to school with is in custody for it? Every text message in town is going to light up. It's going to look like a Christmas tree. It's going to look like the Griswold's roof. Bing, 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 bing. Lights everywhere, right? Everybody's phone's going to go up. You might as well put out an Amber Alert and just get it all out at once. And her source is saying it was at 7 o'clock that all these text messages were going crazy, which means he would have been in custody well in advance of that. I'd forgotten she said this. I'd been operating under this assumption the entire time he was taken into custody closer to, 9 or 10 o'clock. Well after the 8 o'clock press conference. But you have to ask, why did they lie? And this is where I'm going to speculate. I'm going to allow my mind to wander a little bit. I'm going to think out loud. Because I think I do everything in decision trees. If you've been watching very long, you've seen me do this. It's either this or this. And if it's this or this. It's how my mind works. I can't help it. Either he was supposed to, based on the plot I think he was associated with, either he was supposed to die before he was taken into custody, or he was supposed to be turned in or captured. That's your first decision tree. He was supposed to not be taken alive. He was supposed to be taken alive. I tend to believe he was not supposed to be taken alive, and I think I have evidence for that. When we talked last night, we played a clip from the sheriff of Washington County. If you didn't watch the show, you should, to know what's going on today. It's
maybe it's the enemies. He's too dangerous. to actually be alive.
I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a groundbreaking show. If you watched last night, the sheriff of Washington County said before he was taken into custody,
$2 2188 says, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Much love, brother. Absolutely. May his soul rest in peace.
He was driving around in rural Utah threatening to off himself. That is inconsistent, ladies and gentlemen, with what we know about this case. Because supposedly the reason he turned himself in was because he was afraid he might die in a hail of gunfire when the police showed up. Well, that kind of is consistent with
the username 1536. We're talking about Charlie Kirk.
Offing yourself. Like that would do the job, right? If you're
and Tyler Robinson.
Concern is I don't want to be taken alive. Well, you can do it yourself or you can let someone else do it for you. Same result. It's going to the same place, right? So I don't think he was supposed to be taken alive. I think that was the sheriff saying he was driving around in rural Utah getting ready to off himself. I don't think he was driving around in rural Utah getting ready to off himself. I think he was driving to meet somebody.
One-Eye Dollar. I heard about that too. One-Eye Dollar says, remember when Trump squirted that ketchup packet on his face? Wild.
This is my speculation, based on everything we now know.
So there's like this conspiracy theory stating that the blood that was on Trump's ear is actually like Hollywood movie blood, not real blood, like in one of these packets, you know. And then another theory is the same thing with Charlie Kirk, that whole thing was set up. Charlie Kirk's still alive, and yeah, that was just like some type of Hollywood blood, not necessarily that, but you never know.
Based on the fact that I'm sure he's a patsy at this point. Based on the fact that I'm sure they're lying about the timeline of when he was turned in. Based on the fact that I'm sure they're lying about the confessions on Discord. Based on the fact, after discussing with other people, that I'm sure his family has not said the things they...
And Tara, who's actually in the same area as Tyler Robinson, says, I think Tyler Robinson was a dumb young kid mixed up in the wrong places and people.
He said his family said. I'm confident on that. I'm very confident on that. All these lies add up to only one conclusion for me. He was a patsy. And if he's a patsy, if he was, tangentially involved sort of on the perimeter, they might say, hey, we're doing a meetup out here. Come out here, we'll give you your next marching orders. And by that time, he's a smart guy. He's probably coming in and thinking, I don't like the sound of that. Someone died today and they're going to want to do a cleanup job. I got to clear my name. I got to get out of this situation as quickly as I can. It makes more sense that happened and that the driving around in the desert, getting ready to take yourself out, that was going to be the excuse. Oh, he drove out in the desert and he took himself out. I'm sure it would have looked like he did. And I'm sure it took everyone by surprise when he didn't show up to the meet and instead turned himself in 2.5, 3 hours early. So that's option A or B. Option A is he was not supposed to survive. I tend to favor that. Now he did survive. Let's say he was supposed to survive. Let's say I'm wrong about that. If he was supposed to survive, when was he supposed to turn himself in? Because that would be part of the plan. Obviously, the plan was for him to turn himself in later, after 8 o'clock. They had a press conference scheduled. They were going to release some more photos. That was going to be the linchpin. That was what's going to be identified him. Then they would go pick him up or he would turn himself in. He showed up early and messed the whole thing up. And this is where I have trouble with the neighbor. This is where I have trouble with the retired deputy. I don't know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. Another decision tree. Let's say he's a good guy. He's in the retired deputy community. He hears things. You know how cops talk. And he hears, hey, they think they know who did it, and they think it's one of our own. And he goes, oh my gosh, who?
Oh my gosh, who? Speaking of, in the chat, it says Pennsylvania State Police identify victims shot during attempted assassination of former President Trump. The deceased victim was identified as Corey Comparatore, 50. This guy. And it seems like he has a daughter that was probably celebrating its 20th birthday. And the second victim has been identified as 57-year-old David Dutch of New Kingston, Pennsylvania. If that's accurate, may their souls rest in peace. And this is the second guy. Yeah, very sad.
A kid named Tyler Robinson. Oh my gosh, I know him. I better reach out to his folks. We got to get him in. He's in danger if he did it. That's the good guy. And he goes out there and he brings him in a couple hours early before they have a chance to take him out. That's good.
Hey, Seraph, a lot of zeros. So do you have just a chat bot or are all of your viewers also bots? Hopefully I have 0 bots, but I have a restream, which grabs all the messages from my horizontal and my vertical live streams, and so it combines them together. So whoever's on my vertical sees what the horizontal says, and whoever's on my horizontal sees what my vertical says. And after a restream, it usually has like an @ sign, and that's the user's name. So if this is like, for instance, @Barry Mick Chosikaner, or for you it would be @2buck2188 or @Marcus Polo 9106. That's what's happening. So yeah, no bots. Hopefully there's absolutely 0 bots here, only people. And by the way, we're going live every day at 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
Good guy. That's option 1. The retired sheriff's deputy finds out through the police chatter that Tyler Robinson is a suspect. He gets in touch with the family and says, hey, your son is a suspect. Get in touch with him. Figure out where he is. We got to get in touch with him because this is not going to end well for him. That makes him a hero. And half the time, I think that. Then there's the other half of me. And the reason the other half of me is so willing to be half the time convinced this guy's a bad guy is because of what he did for a living. What this retired sheriff's deputy did for a living, if the news reports are to be believed, is trap people who were interested in kids. I don't know any other way to say it. People who had that inclination, he would trap them. He would get online, he would purport to be a young boy or girl, and he would trap people. They would show up and arrest them. It was like Chris Hansen, like what he used to do on NBC. In doing so, for the local community, you probably knew all the scumbags. You knew all the people who were being trapped. You knew the names. You knew their identities. Think about George Zinn, for example. Think about George Zinn. George Zinn shows up at the Charlie Kirk event. He's like a 70-something-year-old man. He is...
yeah, that's a wild story, right?
Present around a bunch of high school kids for some reason watching Charlie Kirk. Immediately when the bang happens, he stands up, starts waving his hat and saying, I did it, I did it, I did it. His pants fall down.
What?
He's got some kind of like gym shorts or something on. So I don't know if he had planned to have his pants fall down.
And what would he say, I did it for?
I don't know what that was all about. He wasn't wearing like normal underwear. He was wearing, it looked like he was wearing gym shorts. Like he was about to go play ball or something. If he was like 35, I might have thought he was going to the YMCA afterwards, shoot hoops. But he gets taken into custody, and then they find scandalous images on his phone. The only way I can say it, you guys know what I'm talking about. They find scandalous images of little people on the phone. Not little people, but people who haven't grown up yet. Well, if he's involved, and that looks involved to me, and remember, Candace reported he allegedly told someone at the hospital he'd been paid to do that. A guy who might know who he is and know he has...
Lightning Fox. Didn't know the first part of your statement, but I heard about the second part of your statement, and that he's been involved in other situations that were like huge terrorist situations. So that's wild, man. That is wild.
That predilection is a guy like that officer who deals in that field. Well, the question has been raised over and over again. If Tyler's a patsy, how did he end up involved in this? Well, the same way. Either Lance or Tyler may have also had this predilection, may have also gotten caught up in this at one point. And if you do get caught up in this, you've got an option. You can go to prison for that. It won't go well for you in all likelihood. There's rumors about what happens to people who do that and have that predilection and end up in prison. So you don't want to go that route, so they offer you an out. Well, we could put you in prison for that, or you could do us a favor. I need you to be here at this time, carry this, drive over there. We'll call you and let you know where to go next.
Richard Dallas says the transgender agenda is a Jewish Tel Aviv, the capital of transgender insanity. My goodness, did not know that. That is so wild.
I mean, you take your chances, right? If your option is to go to prison for solicitation of little people or looking at little people, if that's your option, maybe you take the drive around and be seen here and be seen there and run this errand and run that errand during the day and hope you get out of it. That would make the cop a bad guy because he's part of the plan. So I'm 50-50 on this guy. Sometimes I think, man, this guy's a hero. He's the only reason Tyler Robinson's alive. He got in touch with the family. He got the family asking where Tyler Robinson was. They figured out where Tyler Robinson was. They got in touch with him. They got him in.
Barry says, Trump saves kittens from burning buildings in his spare time. Hero.
And they got him in protective custody. And now he's safe and he's alive. And the case remains open for investigation. And we begin to find out they lie. And then half the time I'm like, yeah, but the guy worked in a field that creeps work in. He's around a bunch of creeps all day. And he would know who all the creeps are. He'd be the perfect person to be a patsy generator. So I go back and forth on this. But it's neither here nor there. That's all speculation, because what we know for a fact is by 6:25 p.m., Tyler Robinson is in custody in Washington County, and he's being Mirandized. I got several questions last night. What does that mean, Mirandized? It's just a verbation. It's turning the word Miranda into a verb. Miranda versus Arizona, I think was the case, or Arizona versus Miranda. It was the case that established you had a right to remain silent, you had a right to an attorney, you had a right to an appointment of attorney, you had a right to an attorney being present when you're questioned, and that you had to be alerted of all those rights when you were arrested. If you were in custody and you were interrogated, those are the two triggers. If you're in custody and you're being interrogated, you have to be told all those rights on the record. We know this most frequently because we watch, I don't know what the modern cop shows are. I'm thinking NYPD Blue, but I'm old. We watch old cop shows, Law and Order, NYPD Blue, Chicago PD, and every time they arrest somebody, The Wire, greatest show ever, third greatest show ever. Every time they arrest somebody, they come in, and as they're putting their hands behind their back, like, you got a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you. You have a right to have your attorney with you when you're being questioned. It's just part of the American system. People overseas may not have heard the word Miranda or Mirandized, but that's what it means. It's just the set of rights you get that the officers have to articulate out loud to you, and you have to acknowledge them, usually in writing or on the record on a videotape or audio tape. And so we know for a fact he was being Mirandized at 6:25 p.m. So he was in custody. So we know where he was. He was at the sheriff's office. We know they lost the tapes of him turning himself in. They accidentally deleted them or something. And so we see the genesis of a setup here. Now, I'm pointed back in time to September.
What do you think, chat? Is this a setup or no? Not at all. Lightning Fox says, I only trust my gun and the Bible. Let's ride the train till the wheels fall off. Yeah, buddy.
September 17th, where Candace says she has sources on the ground in St. George, Utah, who are saying that is consistent with what they understood at the time, that Tyler Robinson was in custody before 7 p.m. because by 7 p.m., everyone in town knew about it. That would put him in custody at 6 or 7 o'clock. So I'm recapping a little bit last night's show. And that's very consistent with it taking 3.5 or so hours to drive from Utah County, from Provo, Utah, from Spanish Fork, from Orem, wherever they were basing out of that night, all the way down to St. George. It's about a 3.5 hour drive from the southern part of the Metroplex there to St. George. I don't know if they call it a Metroplex. That's what it looks like on a map. Kind of like Provo to Ogden. It's one big city. You just don't even know you're going city to city. And so that's consistent. And that puts us with an arrival time of 10 p.m. from Brian Davis from the State Bureau of Investigation, which we have documentation on. I showed that, and I'll show that again tonight. So I'm just kind of setting the stage for where we're going tonight, because we're going to double down on that story. We're going to double down on that timeline, and we're going to prove it again if we have to. So there's a lot I want to go through. First, I want to clear up one other thing. We showed two sets of pictures.
Cash was chilling with Island Man. There's a video of him having a conversation with Island Man. What?
Last night. Do I have them still pulled up? I might. I do. We showed two sets of pictures last night. I'll show those again right here. Of Tyler, the alleged shooter, the person who's alleged to be Tyler Robinson. I'm now convinced there were 3 people captured on camera yesterday, on the September 10th. I'll show you the first set that was released, and I'll pull it up here. This was the first set released. There were 2 pictures released. This is the first one here. If you zoom in, you can see his face is smudged out here. There's obviously, this thing has been blurred. They're hiding.
Edited. Probably edited.
Commissioners in Charleston in 2015. Do you deny this?
I'm sorry. Dylan Ruth? Roof, can you give me some more information?
You're head of the FBI, you probably know this. If you don't know, that's fine. You
can give me a reminder. I've got a lot in front of me.
It was national news. Robert Bowers murdered 11 Jewish worshipers in Pittsburgh in 2018.
I do remember that.
And it was the deadliest anti-Semitic attack. So do you admit that that happened?
I'm not saying the other thing didn't happen. I'm just asking for a little information.
JG 2730. Do not be fooled. This is not live. Wonder what he's talking about.
Patrick Cruces, who posted a manifesto about a Hispanic invasion, walked into a Walmart in El Paso, Texas in 2019 and began firing. He murdered 23 people that day, and the youngest was 15. Do you admit or deny that that happened?
I'll take your presentation as accurate.
All right, well, I have to say all of these cases have been adjudicated. As I said, they are not gotcha questions. These incidents were national news.
Serif, are you running to the same streams that go against YouTube's terms of service? No, this is running a vertical, like that you see on your phone, and then horizontal, so you can watch it on your desktop too. No, only one channel. 2 streams on 1 channel.
So, and as director of the FBI, you have access to all of this information. So in 2022, Peyton Grendon walked into a supermarket in a black neighborhood in Buffalo, New York, and started shooting. He murdered 10 people that day. And on September 10th, your friend Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Tyler Robinson has been taken into custody and charged, but also on that day, Desmond Holley, a 16-year-old white male, shot and injured 2 students at a high school in Colorado before killing himself. And according to the Anti-Defamation League, he had a fascination with mass shootings and white supremacy. So do you admit to, deny these facts?
That's a wild, wild statement. Serif, you just posted them both? No, I only have 1 YouTube channel, so send me a link to the other YouTube channel. And thank you so much. All right, thank you, Barry. Appreciate it, bro. That's wild. No one hears about this second incident. It seems like everyone is listening to, obviously, the Charlie Kirk incident, which is horrible, but didn't even hear about this second one.
Those happened.
Okay. Your predecessor, former FBI Director Christopher Wray, said that one of the most dangerous concerns is that racially motivated violent extremism, especially white supremacists, has been the biggest chunk of our domestic terrorism cases and is responsible for the most lethal attacks over the last decade. Do you admit or deny, A, that he said this?
I'll let the record reflect that. Whatever he said was what he said.
All right, and do you agree?
That there is racially motivated crimes being committed in America, yes.
Yes, especially white supremacists, which is the biggest chunk of our domestic terrorism. I'm glad that you said this. So last week, President Trump was asked if there were extremists on both the left and the right. He was actually asked this by Fox and Friends, and his exact words were, "I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Do you agree with the president?
Wild. Serif. Hey, I posted a link and I have both links. I also reported that both channels to YouTube. Oh, thank you, buddy. I don't see the links that you sent me, though.
I don't speak for the president. The president speaks for himself.
Do you agree with the president?
I don't. On what matter?
Yeah, I was kind of trying to see that as well. Is that actually accurate? In the United States, is white supremacy the bulk of terrorism in the USA? Yes, white supremacy and far-right extremism constitute the bulk of domestic terrorism in the United States. Based on multiple government reports, data analysis, fatalities and attacks linked to far-right and white supremacist extremists have consistently outnumbered those from other ideologies since 2001. Oh, okay. Based on arrest and statistics and homicide offender data, Black Americans have the highest crime rates per capita in the United States, particularly for violent crimes such as extinguish and thievery. All right, but that doesn't really make sense. All right.
On the question that I just asked, do you agree with his statement about the radical left?
That there's ideology that's driving violence on both sides? Yes, that's what he acknowledged.
No, he didn't. He didn't. But I'm glad that you're saying that and actually creating some separation between you and the president. And I'm glad that you
That's literally
are
not what happened. He said
acknowledging
both.
that there is violent extremism on both sides. What's interesting is that the research arm of the Department of Justice, the National Institute of Justice, do you know what that is?
I'm familiar with them.
Okay, great. It is the research arm of the Department of Justice, and it published an article in 2024 devoted to domestic radicalization, violent extremism, and terrorism. I have it. It's interesting that it's no longer on the website. It has been scrubbed, but I ask these questions because what makes a strong, qualified director of any business, of any household, of the FBI, what makes a reputable prosecutor is not lapdog loyalty, but a commitment to the creed that evidence is agnostic and that the evidence will lead you to making the right decisions. And
You need the evidence, 100%. How are you going to make a decision without the evidence? And from Solf40E, 973 says, saying another person being assassinated because of his opinion is a ridiculous statement and why the left is losing support. Yeah, it's so wild to see that some people are just okay with other people being extinguished. Like, how do you live with yourself? But one of the things I've noticed is some of those people don't even like themselves. They're just living in a place that's absolutely unhealthy. So you got to make sure that you have a lot of things, good in your life. So make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We're going live every day of 2026.
Your job, no one's job is to like the data or the evidence. It is to collect it. That is how you gain trust. And Mr. Chair, I would like to enter into the record, if I may. White supremacist group stands by racist ideology with unanimous consent.
Without objection.
Dylan Roof, the radicalization of the alt-right and ritualized racial violence.
True.
Objection.
True,
Thank
Patricia.
you. Another article, how Robert Bowers went from conservative to white nationalist. I'd like to enter that into the record with me.
Without objection.
Patrick Cruces believed he was fulfilling Trump's wishes in El Paso attack, his attorneys said. I'd like to enter into the record.
Without objection.
Buffalo shooting, how far-right killers are radicalized online. I'd like to enter that into the record.
Without objection.
Evergreen High School shooters online activity reveals fascination with mass shootings, white supremacy. I'd like to enter that into the record.
Without objection.
Murder and extremism in the United States in 2024, a report by the Anti-Defamation League. I'd like to enter that into
Without
the record.
objection.
And the article, the report that was scrubbed from the DOJ just recently, National Institute of Justice Journal focusing on domestic
Do you think they should be allowed to scrub data?
radicalization, violent extremism, and terrorism. I'd like to enter that into the record.
Without objection.
And lastly, the libertarian think tank Cato and their analysis on violent extremism and the right rising in extremist acts. I'd like to enter that into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentlelady from Wyoming is recognized.
SULF, for sure. Bro.
Just very quickly, Director Patel, thank you for being here, for your service to this country.
Yeah, Lightning Fox, drop in knowledge in the chat, saying, talking about the poor and needy, we have a lot of veterans in the streets. Is there a reason we have not fixed that? What about focusing on our heroes first?
And for the transparency that you have brought to the FBI and for the American people. Transparency that was absolutely
maybe too
non-existent in the Biden administration and FBI. I believe that you might have been asked earlier about whether you had had an opportunity to visit with any of Epstein's legal counsel. Were you asked that question earlier?
I think so.
Okay. One of the legal counsels or legal fixers for Mr. Epstein was Stacey Plaskett, the Democrat delegate to Congress from the Virgin Islands. So perhaps for those on the other side who are interested in talking to Jeffrey Epstein's attorneys, they could sure visit with one of their own colleagues. I want to focus on something that I think is very important that has not been addressed enough today, and that is related to the consequences of the Biden open border. One consequence of the Biden border crisis is the impact that it continues to have on our tribal communities, with the cartels taking advantage of our open borders, the Mexican drug cartels, by infiltrating our reservations and bringing violence, drugs, murder, trafficking, and more. Last year, when I questioned the Attorney General Garland about what the DOJ was doing to protect these communities, he simply deflected responsibility and said that Congress had not appropriated sufficient resources for them to be able to protect our tribal communities. Mr. Patel, what is the Trump FBI doing to counter the drug cartel infiltration and other violent crime targeting our Native American communities?
Thank you. It only took more than half of this proceeding to talk about one of the priorities that the FBI has, which is crimes on tribal lands. Every single crime that we have been talking about, whether it's child predators, human trafficking, narco traffickers, murder, they all happen on tribal lands as well. And I've said since the beginning, it is a priority, which is why we launched Operation Not Forgotten on tribal lands. And I'm the first FBI director to meet with the staff and tribal leaders here in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere, and invited them into my office and headquarters to see them, because I need engagement with tribal leadership, and I need our police and FBI agents to be engaging with tribal leadership. Otherwise, we're not going to break through. We have 1,900 Indian country cases open right now. We've got 600 indictments this year alone. We cannot forget tribal lands. Every single one of those people lives in the United States of America, and it is an absolute priority to protect them and their children just as it is anyone else.
So I think it's fair to say that what Mary Garland testified to, that the FBI and DOJ did not have the resources to address that. I think that that was an absolutely false statement. Would you agree with me?
It's a decision by him not to do so. That's not my decision.
At the end of August, the U.S. Attorney and FBI announced that nearly 100 personnel representing members of the Safe Trails Task Force operated near Wyoming's Wind River Reservation to assist with reducing drug trafficking and illegal guns. Director Patel, you have routinely stated that it is your mission to partner with and strengthen local and state law enforcement partners. How does the task force and other FBI efforts bring tribal law enforcement into this process?
The major problem with tribal lands is the sheer tyranny of geography and the amount of coverage that they have on land versus the personnel they have to do it. So what we've done is constantly surge resources to tribal lands across this country on a 30, 60, 90-day rotating basis, reporting back to us saying who needs more. And what we found is that most of these lands can be assisted by our counter-UAS program, our drone capabilities, and we're gonna do it because what's happening is the Mexican drug cartels are literally flying overhead, dropping their cargo, their narcotics onto this land where no one's looking, and then it's being disseminated to children, to youth, to adults on that land and killing them. And we gotta stop it before it gets dropped off.
Well, and your testimony proves that the Biden administration did not lack the resources to address drug and violent crime in tribal communities or around the United States. It instead expended and wasted these resources investigating parents, Catholics, we now find out Turning Point USA, the RNC, and Republican organizations, rather than protecting our Native Americans by closing the border. Is that fair?
I think so.
Wonderful, thank you. And I do appreciate the work that you've done in this regard. I was previously the chairman of the subcommittee on Indian and Insular Affairs with the Natural Resources Committee, and safety and security on our reservations and for our tribal members has been one of our priorities, one of my priorities, and I very much appreciate the work that the FBI has done. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help you, and with that, I yield back.
I will, ma'am.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentlelady from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for coming in.
Well, she was very kind to Kash Patel towards the end, so that's nice.
Today, Mr. Patel. In the past few months, the country has experienced a string of horrific, high-profile attacks that have been motivated by racial hatred or political ideology. A shooter attacked the CDC headquarters, firing hundreds of rounds and killing a police officer. An arsonist set fire to the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro's residence, with the governor and his family actually inside. Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were assassinated earlier this year. Clark and Charlie Kirk was murdered last week. Bomb threats have been made against HBCUs and the DNC, and just the list goes on and on. I only have just a few minutes today, so I don't want to take a lot of time to go into all the countless and devastating violent crimes and incidents that have happened at our schools or on our streets and in our communities that have just been happening all year long. Mr. Patel, just yes or no, is this type of political violence ever acceptable in your eyes?
No.
I'm glad that we agree that these heinous acts designed to instill fear and division in our nation are never, ever acceptable, yet each of these incidents has recently taken place under your watch. The FBI's website states that protecting the United States from terrorist acts is the FBI's #1 priority, including from domestic terrorists. Is this still your #1 priority?
Domestic terrorism?
Preventing domestic terrorism.
Our #1 priorities are protecting the homeland and international terrorism and crushing violent crime, and domestic terrorism sort of interlays between both of those.
Okay, so well, then I'm glad that you're giving us the right answer, but unfortunately, your actions kind of tell a different story. Earlier this year, you granted the ranks of the FBI's domestic terrorism operations section.
So she's kind of calling him out here. What's going to happen here, Chad?
This is the section of the FBI that is most directly responsible for addressing political violence in our country by preventing attacks from occurring and effectively responding to them if they do. The agents in this section are the ones who stopped an individual stockpiling weapons, who planned to attack schools and churches in Florida and seized bombs made by an ISIS sympathizer in New Orleans. And instead of ensuring that this section has all the resources that it needs at a time when its mission is critical, you fired its decorated veteran FBI agents who have served their country proudly under Republican and both Democratic presidents, and you scrapped the tools that they developed to fight domestic terrorism, including the National Domestic Terrorism Incident Database.
I mean, most of that is just not true. We have 1,700 current DT managed programs. We're up 300% in the amount of cases we brought against nihilistic, violent extremists, including 764, wishing to harm our children. The FBI and the men and women are getting after that problem set more than ever because I've unleashed them to do so. And any insinuation that these tragic occurrences across the country are somehow singularly my fault or disgusting because that watershed goes down to the men and women at the FBI, and they are not responsible for it. I'm happy to work with you to get them what they need.
Gentlelady controls the time. Unanimous consent request. She'll state a request.
Thank you very much. Into the record, an article from Reuters titled FBI Scales Back Staffing, Tracking of Domestic Terrorism, Probes Sources Say. Thank you very much.
Without objection.
I appreciate that. So, Mr. Patel, and it isn't just the domestic terrorism operations section. Under your watch, agents are fully diverting their attention to these anti-immigrant and city takeover operations, leaving our children vulnerable to dangerous networks of online predators, both domestic and international. You pulled more than 120 FBI agents from their...
Absolutely. Lightning Fox says, all I know, real people in real life in America will help each other when hits the fan. I believe in U.S. and us. F the government.
Their normal duties to operate sobriety checks and conduct traffic stops, exposing the FBI's fleet of unmarked cars and thereby making it harder for the FBI to combat violent criminal gangs, foreign intelligence services, and drug traffickers in the process.
That's simply not true. If we were not able to do two things at one time, how would we be seizing record amounts of fentanyl? 23,000 violent felons have been arrested.
Time belongs to the gentlelady.
More than twice as many as last year.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Georgia.
How is she not letting him speak over here? What's going on? Why are they getting in a yelling argument here?
Thank you very much. And this request basically is, it is an article from Reuters, which quotes law enforcement officers familiar with agents who once covered child exploitation cases, but now focus on immigration child exclusive. Thousands of agents diverted to Trump immigration track down. Mr. Patel, in the short time I have left, your tenure as director of FBI has been somewhat problematic. Americans are left definitely less safe under your watch. You have gutted the FBI's ability to keep safe from domestic terrorism. You have sent FBI agents to conduct traffic stops and round up hardworking immigrants who pose no danger to public safety. People even President Trump referred to as good, long-time workers. Your job is to protect and serve the American public.
Time to the gentlelady.
You have spent your time protecting heinous individuals and using the FBI to serve as a political circus. You at times have appeared unequipped.
Time to the
this country
gentlelady
deserves
has
better, and I yield.
Gentlelady yields back.
May I respond?
She's not happy with Patel. She thinks this country deserves better.
Sure can.
Simply put, what is it? Are we failing? If we're failing, how are we arresting 23,000 violent felons? Twice as many as this time last year. Are we failing? Because if we're failing, how are we seizing 1,500 kilograms of meth, 25% increase from last year? Are we failing? Because we captured 4 top 10 FBI most wanted from around the world in 7 months. That's more than the entirety of the last administration. Are we failing? Because we put 1,500 child predators in prison. Are we failing? Because we dismantled 300 human trafficking networks. Which is it? You don't like me, that's fine. But don't you dare disparage the men and women of the FBI that are producing record results in historic fashion to protect this country. They are kicking ass for America, and they're going to continue to do so.
He's throwing some good stats down there. Reason she doesn't like that? I'm curious to know. Maybe because of political side?
And we appreciate your leadership. The gentlelady from Florida is recognized.
When I was home recently, I met with the agents leading the Tampa office of the FBI, and I saw what they're focused on in my community: stopping drug traffickers, rescuing children from exploitation, fighting cybercrime, protecting us from acts of terrorism, foreign and domestic. And I know from my time as a federal prosecutor and a judge that this work by the Bureau doesn't make headlines, but it is happening every single day. At the top, accountability is necessary, transparency is critical, but today we've seen an effort not just to diminish, but to distort the work of Director Patel and the agents he leads. If we really care about transparency and about truth, then what we owe to the American people is this reality, that thousands of dedicated professionals at the FBI wake up every single day thinking not about themselves but about this country and keeping every single one of us and our children safe from harm. And Director Patel, I would like to hear from you the facts about what the FBI is doing and your efforts to fight crime. Director Patel, isn't it correct that since January 20th,
Didn't he just give data on all of the good things he's been doing for this country? I hope she has a valid argument, honestly, because
2025, the FBI has made over 25,000 immigration-related arrests, including 350 members of Tren de Aragua and 195 members of MS-13.
Those numbers are accurate. The Tren de Aragua numbers are up over 350% from the year before.
And during that same period, hasn't the FBI seized over 66,000 kilos of cocaine, 6,000 kilos of meth, and 1,500 kilos of fentanyl?
Not to be nitpicky, but it's 89,000 kilos of cocaine and 7,300 kilograms of meth.
And isn't it also true that the FBI Tampa Division's Panama Express Strike Force specifically seized nearly 67,000 kilos of cocaine valued at more than $1.6 billion from illicit maritime vessels?
One of our best operations out of the Port of Tampa, and I was down there in South Florida when Panex did their work.
Director Patel, since October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack, the FBI has been a co-leader of the Joint Task Force October 7th. Isn't it correct that this task force is actively working to bring justice for victims and to prevent terrorist infiltration at our borders?
Yes, ma'am.
Since January 20th, hasn't the FBI arrested 59 foreign intelligence operatives for spying or smuggling dangerous material into the United States?
Yes, we have, and that's on track to be more than 25% than ever before.
And the FBI has also been leading operations against major cyber threat actors, including those from Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. Isn't that right?
A 17% increase from year to date last year.
Director Patel, the FBI's child exploitation task forces continue to investigate predators who target children online and across our communities. How significant is that threat today, and what results have you seen under your tenure in bringing these offenders to justice?
We have, under Operation Grayskull, dismantled dark web units that are operating online, not just in the United States, but across the world, to do our children harm. We have taken into custody more suspects than ever before on those who seek to harm our children. That is what the men and women of the FBI do, and that's what they're going to continue to do. Those are the real results when you let good cops be cops and when you let us get on these platforms and expose them to the public and show them the harms of these predators on these online gaming systems and social media systems. And we need more help from Congress to allow us more authorities to do that work.
The FBI laboratory manages the Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS, which compares over 25 million DNA profiles and aids more than 125 investigations each day. Director Patel, why is this important to law enforcement nationwide?
All of law enforcement relies on our CJIS operation out of West Virginia. And what that does is allow 19,000 agencies to come in and say, hey, does this guy have a criminal history? Hey, is this an illegal firearm? Do we have a DNA hit like we did in these recent assassinations? That's what the FBI brings to bear, because local and state law enforcement agencies just don't have that capability, and we're doing it 24/7, 365. CJIS does not close for 1 minute.
In your testimony, you noted that the FBI has ongoing counterintelligence investigations into China, Iran, and Russia across all 55 field offices. Why is it essential to maintain that scope of coverage, and what success can you point to in disrupting nation-state actors?
Our biggest threats involving nation-state actors are the PRC, Russia, and China, and they are up 33%, 83%, and 60% respectively in arrest alone this year. Those nation-state actors wish to do harm in our infrastructure, our critical infrastructure system, our energy, our water supply, and also go after and target individuals and senior citizens and take their money through online pig butchering schemes, which we've exposed in Cambodia by way of the CCP. This is groundbreaking work that the American public should be seeing that their FBI is doing, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to report on it.
They're going through Cambodia to scam people? Come on, man, come on. Kind of funny how Iran was not mentioned there, but Russia was for some reasons. That's wild. Yeah, make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because we're going live every single day of 2026.
Thank you, Director Patel. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentlelady from
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple uses.
unanimous consent.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. In response to Mr. Mattel's making
$2 100%, buddy. $2 says, stop crying over spilt milk. Need to look forward. That's right. You know, you just got to look forward and make the best with what you got in life. You can't just dwell on things that are trying to hold you back or turn you into a bad person. Just try to find that optimism in life and how to become a better person.
the remarks that that maybe our colleagues are disparaging the men and women of the FBI. I'd like to enter the record 3 unanimous consent requests. One is entitled FBI is using polygraphs to test officials' loyalty. The second is Kash Patel knowingly broke law when firing top officials, lawsuit alleges, published by NBC. And the third is FBI forces out more leaders, including ex-director who fought Trump, demand for January 6 agents' names.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Gentlelady from Vermont's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Patel, thank you for being with us today. Appreciate your time. Let me say at the top, political violence should have no place in this country, and I strongly, unequivocally condemn the killing of Charlie Kirk last week. And this is exactly the kind of case that warrants a swift and thorough investigation by the FBI. What shouldn't be happening, however, is this administration's seeming attempt to exploit Mr. Kirk's death within minutes of this horrible, horrible assassination, dividing us even further without knowing enough about the killer's complicated, confused political ideology and the extent of his motivation. And this week,
Okay, I guess one of the moderators wanted Serif to be on a put on a timeout, so y'all in the chat, try to be respectful if you can.
President Vance claimed that this is, quote, an extremely destructive movement of left-wing extremism and said that, quote, it's part of the reason why Charlie was killed. He pledged to go after organizations on the left. But Director Patel, it was just 3 months ago that Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, and her husband Mark were shot to death in their home in the middle of the night by a self-identified right-wing extremist and Trump supporter. When that assassination happened, the FBI released a written statement denouncing the killings and pledging to hold the killer accountable. And I thank the Bureau for that. It was clear, concise, to the point. But when you compare that statement to the over 50 mentions of the Charlie Kirk killing and just 4 for the Hortmans on accounts affiliated with the FBI and your personal account, it appears to many Americans that you're valuing some lives more than others, and that's painful. And this is what I'm hearing from my constituents, so I just want to convey that to you. And the Vice President didn't even call on right-wing organizations to tone down their rhetoric after that horrific killing in Minnesota, and he never once spoke about dismantling conservative institutions. This week, when the president was asked by a reporter about Speaker Hortman, he claimed he didn't even know who she was. One of the most high-profile assassinations of an elected official in recent memory, and the president claims to know nothing about it, hasn't even heard of it. It was absolutely devastating for her colleagues and for her family. And I think we all can agree in this room that we have to stop this political violence. So my first question to you is, Director Patel, what is your plan as director of the FBI to turn down the temperature, especially in light of the fact that it seems like members of the administration are reacting to political violence based on party affiliation? What's your plan?
I can only speak for myself.
She needs to fix her microphone. She's just peaking a lot. Goodness gracious.
Of course. And what we are doing is, I think I mentioned earlier, we're following the money, because whatever attack you are describing, and they are all despicable, equally so. People need money to operate. People need money to conduct these attacks, to conduct these investigations. And so what we are doing is finding the people that supported this infrastructure system, because even when you say there's a lone, quote unquote, lone wolf actor, He's not truly a lone wolf actor. Something happened along the way.
I agree. And so can I just because we have such little time, are you making a commitment right now to follow where the evidence goes in investigating whether it's violence on the left or the right? Because over the last 10 years, when you look at the ideology, I want to follow up on what my colleague from California said. When you look at the data, you look at the Anti-Defamation League data, 96% of ideological motivated killings were committed by the right wing. When you look at the Institute of Justice report that she...
One of the things that is kind of questionable is where people get their data and how accurate their data is. And sometimes they don't correctly assign correct things to certain people. So yeah, that's a little that's just questionable when it comes to all this data. Like, are those facts actual facts?
Cited, it's 5 times the...
I think we saw, like, and we see it constantly, that the left definitely are more aggressive, and their peaceful protests are not so peaceful. You know, you don't see peaceful protests from them actually. Often, not all of them. You know, I have friends who are on the left and on the right. I have friends from every walk of earth, but you know, some of those extremists.
Number that 5 times the number of far left extremist incidents are perpetrated by far right. And it's been reported, and she mentioned this, that as of September 12th, 2025, just 2 days after Charlie Kirk's killing, that the DOJ removed that report from the DOJ website. That's why Americans are concerned that there seems to be a separate system of justice, that if you are a Republican and you are attacked, you will get the full weight and authority of the FBI in this administration. But if you are somebody serving in the Minnesota State Legislature and you are assassinated in your home, that the response is different. And I think to ignore the threats from the right or try to do a both and when there are multiple instances when it's overwhelmingly coming from the right, this is a disservice, because Americans want to know.
Didn't Donald J. Trump say he wanted January 6th to be like a peaceful protest?
That whoever they are.
Teddy Tears asks, why is education illegal in the USA? Great question, honestly. Great question.
Whatever their political affiliation, that the response is going to be the same, and it is going to be done with the same diligence. And I'm wondering if you will commit to me right now that you will be a voice right now standing up to those voices in the administration that are adding to the violent rhetoric right now. That's what I'm asking you. Will you commit to this?
Time the gentleman has expired. The gentleman can respond.
My voice will be through the investigations that the FBI conducts, and we will conduct them all lawfully and equally.
Can we expect in the future that your tweets in related to one killing will be the same level of concern?
Was she from the left? Oh man. Jacqua Dugan says, every protest on the left brings a violence and destruction on our streets, costing us millions and people's livelihoods. Absolutely, absolutely. Which is unfortunate. I hope it would be nice if you were wrong, but unfortunately you are not in this case.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Director
did she
Patel,
say what she just said?
thank you for being here today, and most importantly, thank you for restoring trust and faith in the FBI, which has been severely eroded under the Biden administration. Thank you for your service and your continued service in this capacity.
Yep, Tarsus, yep.
On April 7th, 2025, Charlie posted on X, assassination culture is spreading from the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% say the same about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy and...
Someone's got to fix this dude's microphone, dude.
How do you evaluate its deterrence power vis-a-vis USA and Israel? And can we learn your expectations about your relations with the Russian Federation?
Well, there was a problem with the translation, or I think with the device, it doesn't work properly. I understood the last part of your question. Well, I'm going to Moscow this afternoon.
True, Tune, Triple X. I don't believe in polls. Whenever did you ever take a poll? Absolutely, absolutely.
And we enjoy a strategic partnership, and we always consult with each other and coordinate our positions. Russia has been a part and the participants of JCPOA, so they have been always a party to nuclear negotiations. And even in the past 2-3 months that we were negotiating with the United States, we always briefed our Russian friends about the latest about any progress or lack of progress in our talks. Well, I will have serious consultations
you can see
with the Russian president tomorrow, and we continue to work with each other. Russia is also a permanent member of the Security Council, and we know that they were trying, together with China, to introduce a resolution to the Security Council for the cessation of hostilities. Obviously, now the situation has been changed, and I will have discussion with them that how it should be proceed.
The final question from IRIB, if we can hand over the microphone to the gentleman right there. Thank you.
خسته نباشید آقای عراقچی. از خدمتتون که دیروز آقای اردوغان صحبت‌هایی داشتن در مورد میانجیگری، فکر می‌کنید نقش ترکیه در این رابطه به چه ترتیب خواهد بود؟ میتونه ترکیه در واقع در این رابطه
Yesterday, President Erdogan mentioned a mediation instrument. Can Turkey handle such a
من دیروز ملاقات
diplomacy
بسیار
or
خوبی رو با
mediation
جناب آقای اردوغان رئیس جمهور محترم ترکیه داشتم. هم ترکیه و هم
had very productive meetings with the President of the Republic of Turkey yesterday, and I also had contacts with some of the countries of the region. Some of the countries of the region, such as Turkey, are indicating that they could be mediating so that they
lots of useful, important meetings.
Yeah, that's a little wild. Jews American says, I find it odd that the radical left will support Palestine but not the Persian people being extinguished by their own government. I thought the left were for the oppressed. Yeah, man. Yeah. I guess sometimes they decide they want to pick and choose, you know. They don't believe that whole thing as a universal idea, you know. I read a comment earlier about someone going to a Charlie Kirk Virgil, and it was nice. Oh, there it is. Solf says, I was in Winnipeg when we had is it a Virgil or vigil for Charlie Kirk. It was a great outcome. So many loved him. Yeah, I can imagine. Just so much love over there. For sure, man.
Fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression. The U.S. military attack on the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state carried out with genocidal Israeli regime, carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime, has once again revealed the extent of the United States' hostility towards the peace-seeking people of Iran, who will never compromise over their independence and sovereignty. The Islamic Republic of Iran continue to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security, and people by all means necessary against not just US military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the Israeli regime. While President Trump was elected on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world, he has betrayed not only Iran by abusing our commitment to diplomacy, but also deceived his own voters by submitting to the wishes of a wanted war criminal who has grown accustomed to exploiting the lives and wealth of American citizens to further the Israeli regime's objectives. The US act of aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities constitutes not only a flagrant breach of the UN Charter, especially the prohibition of the use of force under Article 2, Paragraph 4, and the obligation to respect the state's territorial integrity and sovereignty, but also a violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. It cannot be emphasized enough how much of a devastating blow that the US, a permanent member of the Security Council, has dealt to the global non-proliferation regime. The Islamic Republic of Iran reminds the United Nations, the Security Council, the UN Secretary General, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and other relevant international bodies of their duty and responsibility.
Rivet to Bear has joined the chat. Every life is important. Persian, Palestinian, Iranian, and American. Get over yourselves. Focus on people. That's absolutely accurate. You got to focus on the people. You got to share the love. Follow your dreams. Do something good with your life.
To take urgent and decisive action in response to this breach of international law. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression will plunge the world into an unprecedented level of danger and chaos. Humanity has come too far as a species to allow a lawless bully to take us back to the...
Yeah, Anthony Landecho. Help the poor. Absolutely. Help the poor get back on their feet. Find something where they can, make something of their lives. They can be a productive and active citizen in the world.
Who, through evident bias in favor of warmongering parties, paved the way for the current violence and bloodshed, is now clearer than ever. We call on the IAEA Board of Governors to immediately convene and carry out its legal responsibility in response to the dangerous US attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, all of which have been under the agency's full safeguards and monitoring. The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression.
My goodness. Anthony has joined the chat. Women will help. Absolutely, women will help. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026.
On the Iranian nation. Not content with such malign actions, the United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation and aggression against the people of Iran. In doing so, the US administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security, interests, and people. Thank you very much.
We will now be taking questions We'd like to start with the Associated Press.
Hopefully you got some good questions. Come on, y'all.
Sayın Bakan, müzakere kapıları hala açık mı
Distinguished Minister,
görüyorsunuz?
are the doors for negotiation still open?
Tamam. Şimdi ses geliyor mu?
Can you hear me now?
Sayın Bakan,
Distinguished Minister, the
müzakere
question is
hala
as
kapı açık mı
follows.
görüyorsunuz?
Is the door for negotiation still open?
Hadi değil mi?
No translation. Interpreter, please speak.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
They just said their translation thing.
In the English channel, can you hear me?
If I may just step in here and just translate real quick for my colleague. He's asking if there are still room for negotiations moving forward.
Arapça olarak diye sorabilirim eğer Arapça biliyorsan.
It's all right now.
All right, y'all. We got to see what's going on with RFK Jr. When he first started doing what he was doing, I figured he was like part of the Fantastic Four, honestly, like just doing something so amazing. But this is something you should be aware of in regards to your health, and talking about those white supremacists being the #1 terrorism group in the world. You'll be surprised to see what happens with some of these things that this lady's talking about.
Can't just say in this video, watch this.
We need to talk about bioweapons. The level, I know a lot now about bioweapons because I've been doing a book on it for the past 2.5 years, and you know, the technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately.
COVID-19 attacked certain races disproportionately. Do you understand that? And we'll see which races.
The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure, genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
Targeting white people, Caucasian people, and black people. And the people who are most immune to it are the Ashkenazi and the Chinese. So interesting.
But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons. And
yeah, so these weapons that you were thinking about, they've all changed. They've changed so much.
We are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all of those labs in the Ukraine are about. They're collecting Russian DNA. They're collecting Chinese DNA so that we can target people by race.
Holy fuck, chat. What did RFK just say in this video? Watch this.
That woman has some energy. Goodness gracious. Oh, man. What do you think, chat? What do you think? We're going live every single day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. And we got some happiness just to close it off for you. Do you like dags? Do you like dags?
Raptor's never been in the water before.
Did you see that jump? How amazing is that?
Oh God, I hope I got that. Well, he knows how to swim.
Look at the joy in that dog. That's just so amazing, man. So amazing. Watch this jump.
Raptor's never been in the water before.
Jump. Bam. He's trying to swim back. Look, he's trying to swim back. It's so inefficient, but it's trying to.
Oh God, I hope I got that.
That dog has never swam in its life.
Well, he knows how to swim.
Well, there you go. And that dog felt Kairos in that moment. It was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to try it. Might as well. Excuse me. So, yeah. I love you. The Lord loves you. We're going live every single day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share if you want. And, yeah. Oh, Sleepy Watcher says, bro, my beloved dad extinguished during COVID pandemic. I lost him forever. My beloved dad. I'm Chinese, by the way. Man, that's horrible, dude. That's like almost everybody's nightmare to lose any type of parent. Dad, mom, sibling, anyone, man. Well, we all hope your father is in a better place, man. That's for sure. Because, yeah, maybe your father doesn't have to deal with like all of the hardships that all us have to still deal with until we meet our maker. So yeah, prayers go out to your family and to your father and your father's friends and all the good people on earth. And yeah, we're going live every day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and yeah, follow your dreams. Use Kairos. Yeah, Sleepy Watcher says, I know he is. Cool, man. I'm glad, man. Stay strong. You know, it's always difficult, but stay strong, man. Stay strong. And it gets better. It gets much better. Sometimes people will try to hate on you after drinking that haterade. You know, just let all that hate that they send to you, let it roll off of your back like water does off a duck's back. And yeah, man, look, even the chat's showing some love to your father. And yeah, we're trying to develop a good community over here. And yeah, we're going live every day of 2026. So we will see you tomorrow. I love you. The Lord loves you. Follow your dreams. Use Kairos.